The Area Cup Series began its season at Daytona on the East Coast before a quick West Coast jaunt to Las Vegas and Phoenix. But now we return back to east of the Mississippi from now until Indianapolis, 7 rounds from now. Welcome back to Sim TV, and welcome to Atlanta, Georgia, to this very, very fast, reprofiled, and high-speed circuit. It was always known for being fast, but now it's known for being one of those reconfigurations that everyone kind of dreads, but with a different style of racing to boot. Vinny DeCuna, this is going to be a fun one tonight as we're joined by Eric Wineland and Hunter Sleppy as well. We're going plate racing on a 1.5 mile track here in Atlanta.
I was going to say, a lot of people are upset that we lost the Atlanta, but honestly, it's put on a pretty good show. I do still wish that this was done to Texas rather than Atlanta, but I digress. We had a fantastic race here last season. These guys put on a great show. I believe it, if I'm not mistaken, went caution-free, if not almost caution-free. Some very clean racing, very hard racing all around, so I genuinely cannot wait to see these guys get back out here to see them practice. Guys already 3 wide, getting used to each other.
This race did not go caution-free last year. We had a late yellow with 4 laps to go, and actually in both races here at this new configuration, we've had overtime finishes and a pass for the lead on the last lap. As we look at the point standings, the highest in the point standings without a win, Jake Nichols ended up winning this race a season ago, as Jake Matheson, Travis Beckner. It's all been Miller Racing so far, Eric, as we look at the rest of the point standings and look at Kwame Scott there in 6th. He's been close to winning a couple of races this season, but still finds himself inside the playoffs.
For those of us in the closed loop behind the scenes, the over-under on the hit for Hunter stealing my stat did hit again tonight at under 30 seconds. But yeah, a couple guys here that could really benefit, and it's the guys that aren't in our picture. We got guys below the top 20 here in points that, hey, a win could vault them up into the top 20, and then the win counts for them getting into the playoffs. I look at guys that aren't pictured here, like Justin Anisogak, for example, who's pretty good on the super speedways. JT Poole, who's had pretty good streak. Excuse me, I'm looking at the Truck Series points, aren't I? Absolutely, I am. Well, we'll figure that out later. But for the guys that are below the cut line, like Cedric Hunter, Greg Mitchell, Skylar Shackelford there, Kyle, at this point in the season, 10, now 9 regular season races to go before the playoffs start. Can't let that gap get too big, and a place like Atlanta, such a wild card, it could absolutely happen.
It's a wild card, and here's what the thing I'm going to lay out is we've got the playoffs coming up after round 12. Now, I think this is a big, big race for a lot of drivers, those that might not find themselves up front every single week. Finney, why is that? Because this is a wild card racetrack in much the same way that Talladega is. The problem is Talladega is the last race of the regular season. You do not want to head in there needing to win that race, but you do have plenty of time to make it up front if you don't get it done here tonight. So this is actually a pretty important race for those that won't likely find themselves in the playoffs by other means. This is one of your 2 remaining big wildcard events, maybe other than the Roval, which can sometimes be a wildcard. But this is your chance. Go up there, race, and get that win here in the draft pack.
Yeah, it's a great job, great chance, like you mentioned, to get it done earlier in the season rather than later, especially waiting for that last race. You see many drivers season after season come into Talladega, that last race of the regular season, needing a win, and they're just either so close to getting it, they get wrecked out, something or the other happens. So this gives you a little bit more control over your destiny, not a whole lot, but because it still is a wild card for everyone else in a very stacked field that we have tonight. But you're going to have to perform, and if you do perform, you can get your, take that chip off your shoulder early in the season and relax for the rest.
A season ago, Brandon Bowie set the track record for qualifying at this configuration, a 31.378. We'll see if that can be topped this season with Garrett Grant on the racetrack. And you mentioned, Eric, that drivers below the point standings, this is still a shot for these guys to try and win, and especially a driver like Garrett Grant hasn't won in quite a while, finds himself below the top 20 in points, 33rd in the standings, as Grant currently holds the quickest time.
He's first of 2 that have taken time now. Jeremy Miller getting on the board as well. And it's not just the racing, Hunter, as we get to see Michael Curhan's sign here. I don't know what time it is, but I'm about to go real fast
and real left.
Real left.
You got to throw some energy behind it, Eric.
I don't know if I'm awake enough for that yet, but we will be awake when the green flag flies. But Kyle, some guys can actually, they may not be as fast on the 1.5 miles, so maybe not the greatest on the road courses. If they get a pole here, not only is that a bonus point for the season, but also they get themselves into the preseason shootout that everyone loves to get into as well. Thinking about that here too, as Michael Curhan drops down at 173.870 on the mile per hour chart. Good enough for 5th fast at 31 and 39.
Yeah, jumps
Oh, wow.
up.
We have a tie for the pole at the moment.
Oh, yeah?
Jake Nichols and Mason Kane. They have the same exact lap time. As mentioned, Jake Nichols, season 4 winner, and Mason Kane, a fellow Georgia native. So a lot of these guys are from Georgia, and they want to put on a show for their hometown.
No longer. Couldn't even finish his sentence before Vincent Cortez jumped to the top of the number 32.
By the slimmest of margins, too. 0.003 of a second. Our top 3 are separated by 0.003 of a second. Keep that in mind. That's a stupidly small gap. And we still have only 9 drivers qualified. We still got 3/4 of the field left to go. So we could see an even smaller gap potentially between the top few drivers.
And here's brother of Jake Nichols, Tyler Nichols on track, Eric. As I was trying to finish, Mason Kane, a Georgia native. There are a handful of drivers from Georgia that want to win at their home track. We saw Brad Slaughter do that in the Truck Series a couple seasons back, but we'll see if Tyler Nichols from the Carolinas can do anything.
I was going to say, this is a home field advantage here for Mason Kane and guys like him and Brad Slaughter. As you mentioned, we'll detail those guys throughout the broadcast tonight, but I was curious to see what these guys are doing on their qualifying laps, and I'm surprised a little bit. Daytona, it was very much about momentum. The guys were coming off the yellow line to keep the momentum up throughout their lap around this racetrack. But here at Atlanta, it's pretty much plant this thing on the line and see how fast you can go. DK does not put in the greatest of laps, but it's solidly in 5th place as it stands. Matthew Bell now here on track, and driver from Canada, one of our few international drivers in area.
Oh, James Sky only 13th quick. That'll put him down towards the bottom of the order at a 31.474. Matthew Bell over 174 miles an hour. That's the mark to put you in the top 5 right now. He goes 4th quick, Finian, on his first lap out.
Yeah, and for Scioli, he's going to drop down. He's only 14th of 16 drivers, and continuing to follow in the order, Jacob Bell goes to 12th place as he comes rocketing across the line. Looking at Cameron Hearn now in the number 4. He's coming to the start-finish line in his Ford Mustang, and across for him, where will he go? 31.431. It's going to be around midfield, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, he actually, I think, invalidated the lap, which is kind of surprising here.
To get too close to the grass, because we know that guys can go as close to the apron as they can, but if you clip that grass, it could count as an incident, and that could invalidate the lap time. So we might have seen that from Cameron Hearn, as I believe this is Travis Speckner coming across the stripe to complete his lap.
Oh, that's not going to be a good lap either. I wonder if the wind changed to have these cars slow down so much. Speckner only 17th quick. Wind, not a lot, 2 miles an hour out of the north. So Eric, not wise. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the humidity value, unfortunately, is still broken on our timing.
Yeah, it's a process.
But no, I was also gonna add on that I have not seen the wind change beyond maybe 3 miles an hour, so it's pretty static for these guys in terms of wind direction, wind speed. So nothing really that's gonna affect their laps. What a lap there from Connor Horn, new pole sitter, 31.342.
And speaking of Connor Horn, just want to talk about him. Speaking of guys that need some luck, need a way in, he needs some luck in this 42 machine. He's sitting, again, he was I want to preface this, he was a playoff contender, Final Four contender last season. He's currently sitting after 3 races, 41st in the point standing. So it's been a horrible start of the season for the 42, so I think he's kind of hoping this will send him back up in the right direction.
Did he make the Final Four last year?
He was close.
No, sorry. The final 8. I misspoke. My bad.
I was going to say, he almost made it, but we had some drama that happened. But that's something that we didn't point out, as Hunter mentioned earlier, guys, that there is no out of bounds for qualifying. These guys can go anywhere they want on the racetrack. So you see everybody cutting as much as they can off the front stretch. Makes the lap shorter, distance shorter. In theory, you go faster, Kyle, as we get to see Jake Matheson here. Probably the most anticipated qualifying lap here, and it's not as good as I thought it would be.
No, only 10th quick. You made that point about the inside of the front straightaway there. It's just a classic speed versus distance equation, right? You can cut that, but if you're scrubbing off speed out of turn 4 just to cut that, it might be a disadvantage to do so. Rafe Slade at a 173.9 miles an hour. That's a decent lap. It'll put him 7th. I think you're going to have to be more than 174.2 miles an hour to be on pole now, as Horn was at 174.145. So that's the time to beat. Here's Brad Slaughter, the number 83, Feenan working his way through turns 1 and 2 in the Lumar 83 Toyota.
You can see his 83 can perform here in the later half of qualifying here. Only a couple more minutes remaining, less than 3 minutes remaining, and a couple guys sitting out, it seems. So I'm curious to see if they're just planning on sitting out entirely or kind of waiting till the very end to go out there. But for Brad Sauter to come across the line, gets very close to the grass, almost invalidating his time, but it'll be a 31.421. Not that quick for him, only 20th.
Mid-pack for the 83. We'll see what the 14 of Connor Okrezik can do over from the Mid-South. And Okrezik, he's sitting pretty good in the point standings. Did lose 5 spots after last week's race, but sits 10th in the standings and looking to keep a good run going as he comes across the stripe.
Decent, should be top 15. It'll put him 12th, Eric. Just a handful of drivers, about a dozen or so left to go here with 2 minutes left.
The only reason that I can see these guys waiting to go out is the track temperature has fallen about 1 to 2 degrees. So we're down at 92 degrees on the track temperature as we are at 5:53 in sim time in the evening here in virtual Atlanta, Georgia. We get to see Dom DeLeo in the number 22 Ford Mustang take a lap here. Let's see where he ends up on the timing charts. This is not gonna be good. It's P28, 31.503. So not the lap that Dom DeLeo wanted.
Seth Knoll, the number 1. We've seen him be a race-winning and championship contending car as recently as last season. Took everybody by surprise, I think, and went on and have a very, very successful season 4 into season 5 now, and still looking to pick up the first win of the season. I think it's coming. Here he comes out of turn 4 in the number 1 machine. Let's see what he's got for the number 1 Chevrolet, and it will put him at 174.1. Not good enough for pole, but awful close. Should put him in
P2,
second by 0.004 of a second. Man, I was probably overly confident that he wouldn't be on pole.
He got awfully close. Just missing out by a couple thousandths is really what these guys are playing at here. And Eric, you mentioned, that 1 degree of track temperature may make a difference, maybe not. But again, these guys are fighting for thousandths of a second. Bryce Enizak, 8th fastest as he comes across the line. Looking at Nathan Jump in the 29 machine. So far, it's been a pretty solid start for this number 29. We'll see what he can do here now on the plate track. What's now a plate track here at Atlanta. So he's working his way through the final few corners.
I like what he did. He let it ride out a little bit off 2 and get out into the middle of the backstretch to see what he does off 4 here. He lets it ride out a little bit, but he's going to try to cut it nice and short. What's this lap from the 29? Not the best. 19th place, 173.833. And that's going to do it for qualifying. And I'm going to turn it over to Kyle because I think you've got some coffee to talk about.
Sure do, but before we get there, race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. As a subscriber, you'll have Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise, all at the price of just $5 a month. And for the coffee that Eric was mentioning, it's Roasted Gems Coffee, our starting grid sponsor. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems Coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. So with that out of the way, guys, we have a couple minutes here before we go green. It's a 140-lap race here this evening. We know that we had some yellow flags last season. Finney, I think you were remembering some pretty clean races in some of the other series that we were running here, and they were. But we did have some issues last season. I want to know who survives the chaos. And Eric Weiland, let's start with you. Who's your pick to win this race?
I can tell you who it's not, Kyle. It's not going to be the guy that takes the white flag first, as they have been passed, as Hunter said. And the 2 times that Area Cup Series has traveled to New Atlanta, as I call it, not a single time has the leader at the white won the race. Also, I don't expect this to be a fuel mileage race. These guys can go about 60 to 65 laps, maybe stretch that an extra lap or 2 saving in the pack, but it doesn't quite make it a one-stop, although some of us have tried in other series before. Unfortunately, to no avail with that strategy. So the drivers that get the best strategy on the 2-stop and put themselves in the best track position coming toward the end of the race, Kyle, are going to win the race. Who do I think will do that? The guys that are always smart about this are the David Weishart camp. You know what? Let's pick the hometown kid. Brad Slaughter is going to go out and win this race tonight.
All right, Hunter, pick me a favorite from this race. Who you got winning our race at Atlanta?
I like the hometown pick too, but not that driver specifically. I'm gonna go with Mason Kane. I feel like he's got something to prove tonight in the Cup car, and especially as mentioned, is his home track, home state. Want to do proud for the Kane family, so I'm gonna go with the 31 of Mason Kane.
Finian, who you got?
Well, I'm not going to go with a hometown pick. I'm going to pick someone from New Jersey, and that man's going to be starting on pole, Connor Horn in the 42. Because he's got to break that drought at some point. I think he's going to definitely try to do what it takes to get it home here and get that first one of the season to get him out of the points rut.
I like that because he's also on a mission, and I think he's in a do-not-care attitude. I think he's a good pick. So without that, I'm going to go down the order, and I'm going to pick out a driver that has been successful in the past. I'm going to pick Ryan Hartz to win this race. The number 3 starts 15th. Let's kick things off with the Roasted Gems Coffee starting grid. Pole in the number 42 out of New Jersey's Connor Horn in that NASCAR Chevy Camaro ZL1. Seth Knoll starts alongside him in the number 1 machine.
Moving on back to row number 2. These two are actually, no, the two drivers almost tied. Vincent Cortez in the number 32. Jake Nichols starting next to him in 4th in the 73.
Row 3, Mason Kane in the number 31 Chevy. Justin Anisogak in the number 67. Good start for him. Rolls off 6th.
Moving on back to 7th is going to be Matthew Bell in the number 9. Next to him, Bryce Senezak in the 09, rolling off in 8th place.
And row 5, Rafe Slate in the number 8. It's another Camaro. Edward Scherer Jr. starts 10th in the number 17.
Back in 11 is going to be Jeremy Miller in the number 30. Watch him on play tracks. Then next to him, Tyler Nichols in the 41, lining up in 12th.
And in 13th place is Jake Matheson in the number 56. Connor Okrezek starts 14th in the number 14 car. Finian.
Ryan Hart's going to be rolling off from 15th in the number 3. Next to him, Garrett Grant, number 5 in 16th.
And in 17th, it's Casey Lakatos in the number 50. Michael Curhan rolls off 18th in the number 24.
19th, you find Nathan Jump in the 29. Rounding out your top 20 is going to be David Weishart in the 33.
And behind them, it's going to be Nathan Jump in the number 29. Oh, you already got that. Thank you. Jordan Martin in the 38. Then Yusuf Ghali in the 54 starts 22nd.
Back in 23rd, it's going to be Jacob Bell in the 77. Next to him, Brad Slaughter Jr. in the 83 and 24th.
And it's Ben Pierce and Skylar Shackelford in row 13.
Back behind them, 27th is going to be Douglas Newbegin. Next to him, Blake Hopp in the 20th position.
Travis Beckner, 29th in the number 28 car. James Scioli all the way back in 30th for the start of this one.
Long wait for him. Blaze McKinney also a long way. 87 is going to be starting in 31st. Dom DeLeo in 32nd.
And 33rd place, Ed Robertson, Justin Bondurant, 34th. Cameron Hearn, Spencer Burns, Ricky Springer, Cedric Hunter. Then it's Dwayne Culberson, Greg Mitchell, and James Shainwolf, the remainder of your field. A little bit of blinking there. I think that was for Mason Kane in the number 31. As we roll through turns 3 and 4, 140 laps here at Atlanta. Who can survive as we go back to the East Coast for the next 7 races? It's all about dominating here at Atlanta. Can you survive the draft racing at this 1.5 mile racetrack? Here we go. Time to go racing at Atlanta. Green flag is in the air. Race 4 of the Area Cup Series is underway. Lap 1 complete. Seth Knoll leads the way. Connor Horn's back to 5th on the inside lane. The outside is the one going places here, Finian, but here comes the 73 to the bottom.
Yeah, I was going to say the Solar Flower Racing dude is starting on the outside, 2nd and 4th. Did a great job getting going. Inside lane, not so much at the moment. And still, you see Jake Nichols out there trying to control the lead with the one on top. Mason Kane now leading the bottom lane over Connor Horn.
Kane with a push from the 42, although Nichols is going to come down and shut the door. Going to continue to lead as they cross the stripe over to lap 3. Going to leave that outside lane open, though, for the one of Knoll.
Yeah, lots of shifting and shuffling here early in the going. I think what's going to help now is that this racetrack, this race car, they're not as new as they were in previous seasons, Finian. We've done this before. We know how to get it done. Everyone's kind of figured this out a little bit. So that should help the racing tonight, is that everyone kind of has a known value. You don't need to play the strategy so much. It's just race the race cars, not the racetrack, not the strategy tonight.
Yeah, and also the big thing too is just really just making sure you make your car to the end, because this is again a played track and all things considered, so everyone's extremely close together. There's a big chance you can make someone makes a mistake up in front and can take yourself out. And Connor Horn, you can ask him; he's known that quite a few times. He's been at the wrong end of things this season so far, and still just trying to hold up there inside the top 5.
Holding his own on the bottom as he's slowly making his way back towards the front after starting on the pole. Jake Nichols holding that lead, and right behind him, Vincent Cortez trying to give a little push to that inside line, but it's still the Solar Flare teammates running 1-2. Just Anna Sogak trying to poke his nose on the outside.
Yeah, strong start to this one. Nicely packed up, paired up 2x2. Noticing a bit more lane control than I think we had seen before. The 73 and the 1 kind of changing lanes back and forth. So that's an interesting thing to note. I don't think we had seen that prior.
And looking at the top side go, they were really getting fantastic runs off the corner, especially in turn 4. You can see there, Mason King going nowhere. The first 4 cars on the top lane pretty much clear for position.
And you got to go back to Mason King still fighting on that bottom as the outside lane is starting to get a little bit of a breakaway to where anyone inside that top 4, now top 5, can go down and make a charge on the inside if they really wanted to.
Through 3 and 4, here's Jake Nichols to the bottom now, and Seth Knoll, Justin Anasogak trading positions there. Anasogak sweeps to the bottom. He wants the lead and is not waiting around for anybody.
Now he's going to take it away. I think Jake Nichols trying to control the field, unfortunately got caught sleeping. And here comes the 67 charging to the front. Bryce Senezek trying to follow him on through on the inside, but can't. You know, a great push from the outside from the 73 will push the 67 more to the lead. Nichols tries to look back to the inside, and Anasogak cuts him off.
And a Sogak to the lead here early in Atlanta as we head back down the pit road for an update from Eric Wineland.
Hey guys, you'll notice one driver fell down the timing order and is out of the race. Ricky Springer starting part tonight. Unfortunately unable to fully complete the event. Did get 2 laps turned in, so he does get credit for the start. Things get a little dicey on the backstretch there, but Ricky Springer no longer a part of the event.
Thanks, Eric. Michael Curhan split middle 3 wide on his mission past the 41 of Tyler Nichols. So he's on through.
And speaking of on through, how about Brad Slaughter started 24th? He is not taking any name. He is going flying to the front. He's just about to break inside the top 5 as he's got a hard charge going in that outside.
Doesn't matter what configuration of the racetrack at Atlanta, Brad Slaughter knows his way around it. As mentioned, he's won here before in the Truck Series on the new configuration.
Oh, he gets turned! Oh, no! Back straightaway, entering turn 3. Everybody scatters. Caution is out. And I think, other than Slaughter getting turned into the outside wall, we've gotten away with that one.
Yeah, Michael Curran was the one he made contact with. Curran's got some heavy right side damage.
Well,
and so does Slaughter.
Almost had it out of my mouth, but Slaughter knows his way around this track in the Truck Series. Hasn't quite gotten it figured out yet in the Cup Series. Michael Curran had a good view of that, as well as the 83 of Slaughter, and surprisingly, that was only 2 cars.
Let's have a look at them. The Simrat Market replay as they came off of turn 2. The 83 jukes to the left. The 24 gets in the outside there, and Slaughter moved back to the right. It was just a door that opened. I don't think Slaughter knew was opening, and Curhan just kind of put the car there, and it closed.
Yeah, the door was definitely open. The 24 decided to go there. Unfortunately, 83 came up, and around he went. I'm genuinely amazed there wasn't another incident. Look at everyone fan out, using all the racetrack available to slow down.
Yeah, nicely done. That could have been a lot worse than it was. Look at the 41 of Tyler Nichols just scraped through there. Maybe a couple others that picked up some minor damage along the way, but just front to rear. Well done as everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of the field hits pit lane. This is an interesting call here, maybe a fuel call more than anything. But it looks like we've got about 8 cars that stayed out on the racetrack, from Nichols back to Jordan Martin, and then from Seth Knoll on down, they decided to come to pit lane.
Well, might as well talk to someone down on pit lane. Eric, what's going on? What's the split in strategy?
So you guys are, Kyle hit the nail on the head. It's a fuel call. They are 10 laps into the race, so if you split this evenly the rest of the way, 65 laps, that puts them right on the edge of that fuel window. Like we talked about at the top of the broadcast, it is a little bit of damage fixed for Brad Slaughter Jr. listening to his radio.
Did you get hit after you got turned, bro?
Nah, I just hit the wall. Just turned me into the wall. I drifted up.
So Brad not totally happy with himself, considering he moved up into Michael Curhan. He and Michael Curhan still sitting here on pit road getting their damage repaired. But this opens the one-stop window for all of these guys that just pit to the end of the race. One more stop.
Yeah, I just wonder, Eric, before we let you go, what's the motivation for trying to go that whole distance? I mean, we have to assume we'll get more yellows, right? So would you just stay out on the subsequent cautions until you get to your number, or what's the play there?
It's super speedway-esque racing, and personally, I've never guaranteed a caution because we saw the Xfinity series and also the Truck series have incredibly long green flag runs here. So a lot of these drivers, having raced in those other series, may feel a little bit of that. If they get settled in and ride, they can make it that far. Regardless, I'd rather put myself as a driver in an advantageous position of being able to make that call or falling back, and maybe I gave up a little bit of track position. I mean, Seth Knoll hit it from, second, third, right there in the top 5, and he comes out 8th. He's still right there with his track position, not much lost there. So the guys that stayed out, sure, made that call for track position, but the guys that pit, they're pretty much where you were. Well, they'll absolutely take that.
Thanks, Eric. As we get set to go racing here on the restart, doubling back up. You can see there on the left-hand side of the screen, the top 4 rows effectively had not made a pit stop yet. Everyone else has. So, as we get set to go racing here on the restart, I think as Eric pointed out, we have gone green in some other series races, so the potential for a long green flag run is there, and they're just opening up their options. Where if up front you're still committed to a 2-stopper unless you're saving fuel already, but even that's a long shot. We've seen that strategy play out and then not work before.
You can definitely bet some people are going to try it, especially like we mentioned, the guys that we normally don't see up there running for the front for a win. This is their chance. They might benefit from playing a risky strategy. We'll see, though. Jake Nichols will lead them on down.
Here we go to the restart lap 13 of 140. Nichols in the purple car is the control vehicle into the restart zone. Right at the end of it, we're back underway here from Atlanta. Good launch for the 73. Connor Horn's on the outside there following the 17 is Scherer, who did not really get a very good start. And off into turn 1, getting through the 5-speed gearbox up to 5th gear.
As they get up to speed, that outside lane is going to start to move. Speaking of which, already a move by Senesac going to the outside. He's going to get a big push in behind from the 17, who's trying to get them going.
Senesac looking to get a bonus point for leading the lap. Has 2 top 10s in the first 3 races of the season for the Cup Series. Looking to lead it at the line. Here's going to have the run and will do so. Scherer Jr. pushing him on that outside lane with that's Connor Horn right behind. So a good momentum push on the outside lane for Senesac.
It's got the lead now. We've seen drivers be able to control that pretty effectively. The Solar Flare Racing guys did it the first run. And look who's up into 5th place by virtue of not pitting. James Scioli, 30th up to 5th. For Scioli, I like this call, Finian. Kind of gets him out of the danger zone.
Yeah, really, because you have a lot more control being up near the field, and especially it looks like at least one of his other teammates didn't pit. It's the number 17, Edward Scherer Jr., and both drivers for Lucky Duck Motorsports. So they got some teammates to work with here, and like you mentioned, dude, just getting out of the thick of the field, less chance of being involved in a wreck.
Even better for the 09 to Senesac as he continues to lead. Now, one thing I feel like you shouldn't let that happen is if there's a breakaway on that outside lane where the first 4 cars on that outside lane can come down, we could see Scherer and Scioli work together and try to get around the 09 to Senesac. But for now, still Senesac leading, when right behind those top 3, I should say, the 4th car in line. I believe that is Jordan Martin in the 38. He's won here on a super speedway style race in the past, not at this track, but at Talladega.
Yeah, good call. Martin in that 7th spot in the number 38, looking a bit deeper in the field here. Jake Matheson in the 56. We've seen he and his team run very, very well so far this season. They basically won everything. So they're off to a bit of a slow start. The 28 back here as well. Beckner's in 24th, Matheson in 19th. But moving forward now on the bottom, chasing Blaze McKinney in that downrange 87 Camaro.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're just planning on kind of hanging out back there for the time being, letting this race play out. I would say they're a little bit in the danger zone being midfield, but I guess they feel maybe a little bit safer back there, not willing to make a striker and move up to the front just yet.
You saw on the onboard there with Beckner, he made up about 3 or 4 spots because they were checking up on the outside lane. But it's just that's bad on the bottom. There's not a whole lot of room here at this track, and especially with how tight it is on a 1.5-mile circuit. There's really nowhere to go other than the side-by-side action. And if you risk it 3 wide, you're risking calamity in whether it's the backstretch or turns 3 or 4, or even the quad oval here as
trouble,
continues
turn
to lead.
4.
Spin!
Vincent Cortez is in it. We stay green. And we've kept everybody else straight. Blake Hopp is also slow. Cortez got some right side damage. Let's see what happened there.
I wonder if they tried to make it 3 wide in the middle of the corner.
He got the world's worst amount of net code right there.
That is wild net code. I haven't seen something like that in a long time.
Yeah, it looked like his internet started to go bad because he flashed a little bit after this, but I'm trying to think we got hip check from, I guess, maybe the 31 technically,
yeah. But it could have been the 31's net code also. We've seen him have some pretty bad internet problems.
I think it's Cortez. I'm looking at his ping. His ping's highest in the server at the moment. So
watch this 3 wide. Look at Matheson on the high side. Where did he come from? Look at the run he's got. And where do you go? Packed in behind. That was wild.
Oh, he's still not done. He's giving aggressive bumps to the back of the 09 as Senezak trying to move forward. I said
33's in the wall, Finian. David Weishart got up in the fence, had to lift.
Yeah, he's going to have to back out of it. I think he was carrying a little bit too much speed into the corner, if you believe it. But yeah, those Miller Racing machines, I thought they were going to wait a little bit patient, but no, they're just waiting for a moment to go, and here they come now, 3 wide on the outside.
Eric Wineland.
Hey guys, I happen to be riding in the pseudo alliance here between Solid Rock Performance and Miller Racing today. And I was in their Discord channel when Vincent Cortez had that moment. He says he has no clue who hit him. It was such a large netcode. The rest of his teammates were just amazed that he even saved the car in the first place. But unsure what happened. But obviously, you guys pointed out the high ping for Vincent Cortez contributed big time there on that stack up at 3 and 4, and no one was even close when he got hit. But still, he
Weishart out of turn 2. He's turned around again.
Oh,
this time he won't save it. And Mason Kane goes around with him, cautions out. And he had gotten into the wall 2 or 3 times in the last lap, but this time out of 2, he bounced off it big enough that it was strife for more than just himself. Go back, leading into turn 1. Watch right there. He's in the wall on the entrance to the corner. And this just might be a target fixation problem, Finian, where you're just watching everyone around you, and right here again into the wall, and this time Mason Kane can't get off of him.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's interesting that he hit it not only once, like you mentioned, but twice. And yeah, I think just got a little bit distracted, just drifted up into the wall. Once you catch that wall, it acts like a vacuum, sucks the car in, it throws it off balance, and become extremely loose, especially coming off the corner like that. And then Mason Kane making contact.
This is actually the 3rd time he hit it, because the prior time was in 3 and 4 when I pointed it out. I had to interrupt you, Finian, about it. So he'd been in the wall a couple of times. This was almost inevitable.
Hey Kyle, can we get one more Simrat Market replay riding on board or on the hood, actually, if possible, of the 33, and go back to T1 here, yeah. So you're going to see something pretty unique. Watch Travis slide up in front of David right there.
Yeah.
David washes in the dirty air of that diffuser coming out from under the 28, and when he washes like that, no clue, had to jump out of the throttle. He's just going to get tighter by doing so, and it's going to push him out into the wall, and then it's on from there.
Yeah, right here. Right there, and loses the nose. You're right. Direct effect of that as well. Mason Kane didn't do anything wrong, just couldn't avoid it. And more pit stops, and this time, kind of a mixed bag. Connor Horn comes down in pit lane. Jake Nichols. Was that all the drivers that didn't pit previously? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yep,
makes
exactly.
sense.
Everybody that did not pit just made their stop to get themselves inside the 1-stop window to make it to the end of the race. So it's playing out completely different, Hunter, than what we thought. You know, clean races in the trucks and Xfinity here, but the Cup Series still can't quite get those long green flag runs.
Well, let's say not too many yellows in the Season 4 race, and looking back at it, we had 3 yellows from Season 4, and we already had 2 quick yellows within the first 25 laps of the race, and I said it earlier on, right when the Vincent Cortez incident happened. When you're trying to make it side-by-side action and you have nowhere to go but all the momentum in the world, you try to make it 3 wide, and that's what we saw. They were going 3 wide, and then they tried to push the issue, pushed it a little bit too much, and that's why we saw the crash unfold in turn 2 and down the backstretch, Kyle.
Yeah, so off to an action-packed start here. Coming off of Phoenix a week ago, that was also an action-packed week. It's been a wild start to the Area Cup Series season. Before we get back to the restart here, we'd like to thank SimRat Market. Of course, we've gotten some excellent SimRat Market replays. Race fans, head over to simrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple and easy to use, so it keeps you more focused on the racetrack. And of course, if you're watching us here on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the SimTV YouTube channel. Catch all Area Racing all week long. And make sure you're also over on Area iRacing's Twitch, twitch.tv/area iRacing, and pick up those channel points. Watch them in both places. You can watch the VOD on YouTube. You can watch it live on twitch.tv/area iRacing. Make sure to subscribe and follow both. Lights are off on the pace car. Go ahead, Eric.
You talk about Simrat Market, and a contributor there is Cosmin Yonishiwu. I don't believe he's in this race, but did you guys see what he posted on Twitter today?
I have not.
Someone put, so F1 is in Las Vegas, well documented. Someone put the blank green screen of the sphere up there and let anyone Photoshop what they wanted in it. And said, what would you Photoshop on here for the F1 race? Of course, Cosmin put in, look at what he did, the Hail Melon move onto the F1, or the Las Vegas sphere. Is pretty cool and pretty funny to see him do that. Pretty
funny indeed. Doubling back
up.
Would
never expect something like that in an F1 race.
No. You brake tested me, man. All right, out of turn 4, lap 26, coming to the restart. Seth Knoll, Matthew Bell on the front row, Beckner and Matheson. Row 2, check up on the outside lane, but we're back underway at Atlanta.
Yeah, they're still trying to sort themselves out on that outside lane. They're still a little bit scattered towards the midfield. Finally, it looks like they got it sorted out single file, but big gaps in that outside lane.
Big gaps indeed, as they're all trying to get up to speed. It takes about a lap or so to get these guys up to speed, especially with 5 gears in the car. So we're seeing some separation at first. In the 73, Jake Nichols pitted with fresh tires, along with the 42 of Connor Horn, trying to work their way back up towards the front, being led by Nichols' teammate Seth Knoll. Here comes Matthew Bell on the outside, and now Knoll's got no help going into turn 1.
Yeah, Beckner threw a big block on the 81 of Culberson down there into turn 1 as well. And the racetrack is really wide on the front straightaway, so if you kind of get all the way left, you have too shallow of an entry to make turn 1, so you kind of have to chase each other back over onto the racing line. That can get pretty wild. Here comes Jake Matheson in the number 56. Already got a win under his belt here, a couple of wins under the belt. Here he comes out of turn 4 to the high side, and he'll take the lead away from Matt Bell. And looks like, who wants a part of that? Ryan Hart's in the 3.
Yeah, I was saying, because Seth Knoll got put in the middle, and here he is dropping to the back of the sucker hole as he goes down the order quickly, that number 1. And it looks like he's finally getting picked up by the 73, Jake Nichols, stuck in the middle with him.
Multiple rows of 3 wide racing with Jake Nichols in the middle of that. Not a good place to be in, especially this early on in the race. We haven't even crossed a quarter of the way yet in this Cup Series race at Atlanta for Area iRacing, but heads up front, still battling for the lead. Jake Matheson trying to make it 3 in a row for himself and 4 in a row for Miller Racing. And while Anna Sogak on the bottom trying to snag the lead away.
Yeah, it's all been all Miller Racing so far in the Cup Series. We brought up the team points last week. That was what Jake Nichols was focused on, was, hey, good team points week, but their team points aren't going to mean a whole lot when another team is just absolutely batting 1,000 when it comes to the races so far. So Miller Racing has won every race in the Area Cup Series season. Solar Flare Racing would like to stop that momentum, but so far, I don't think I've seen a lot that would convince me that Miller Racing isn't capable of winning 4 more in a row.
Yeah, they're still looking extremely strong. Solar Flare Racing trying their best to combat that, but haven't quite found that magic just yet. And you got a whole bunch of other teams still also vying for that top spot as well. It's been extremely competitive this season so far, and here is the 42 Connor Horn, our pole sitter for tonight, trying to see if he can seal the deal and get some solid points on the board riding inside the top 10.
He was one of the few that did come down pit road and took tires and has worked his way back inside the top 10. Although there's a gaggle of cars in front of him, next to him, and behind him, as is the new pack racing here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. But Matheson's still holding the lead, with Rafe Slade actually leaning on that, I shouldn't say leaning, but he was second on that outside lane that's leading the way so far.
Yeah, Connor Horn really just needs to get a couple decent finishes in here. Doesn't need to win this race, but really needs to get the momentum building in the right direction to even feel like he's capable of winning. We know the speed is there, it's just the luck has not been. So to be up in the top 10, at least just contending, is going to be a nice change of pace for him, I think. Even just running up in this mix. Just stay out of trouble, get a clean night here. The problem is, Finian, if you want to turn your luck around, a pack racing track isn't usually the place where you plan on that New Year's resolution.
Well, already he's doing significantly better than his best finish this season, which is 29th, which is last week at Phoenix. So yeah, it's definitely looking a lot better at the moment. It's just a matter of making sure he finishes here. And again, like we talked about, it's still being a plate track. There's still a lot of randomness. We've seen a couple wrecks that can happen from mostly anywhere, usually midfield, but you never know. So it makes a wrong move near the front of the field. A lot of people can get involved in a wreck.
Rafe Slade, as mentioned, running second at the moment, 36th in the points, and his best finish coming back from Daytona to kick off the season with 24th. He finished 38th last week at Phoenix. Nowhere to go but up for the number 8 as he's currently contending for a win.
Jake Matheson kind of dragging that outside lane. Kind of mid-road there. He's not dropping to the bottom. He likes that 8 pushing him, and so far they've stayed like that. Connor Horn pushing along the bottom. Got Justin Sogak in behind. And you're making pretty good moves here on the bottom of the racetrack now here, Finney. I don't know where it's more comfortable to settle here. I think some of the bigger tracks you'd like to settle around the middle, the high side, but I think at Atlanta, the bottom's probably not a bad place to cruise, but it is going to be hard to keep up momentum and keep up speed on that bottom line.
Well, the issue is, yeah, that if you're going to be in the bottom lane near the front, you have to push. Otherwise, the top lane is just going to drive away. We've seen easily 4 or 5 cars able to break away on that top side and the bottom lane, not really able to go anywhere. So if you really want to cruise in the bottom lane, you pretty much have to be kind of back in the pack, not near the front. So, and I'm actually curious too. I want to get an update. Has Connor Horn led a lap?
Yes, just one.
That was the opening one, I believe.
Okay.
Hey guys, you guys were talking about bottom being safe. Solar Flare Racing enjoys that same sentiment.
Hate being on the bottom.
You're safe on the bottom right now. Just stay behind the car in front of you.
Checking.
So while the 81 of Dwayne Culberson does not like being on the bottom, the instructions from the team owner Jake Nichols and company is you are safe down there. Feel free to ride behind the guy in front of you. And that is exactly what Dwayne is doing. He is currently 11th on the racetrack, but 5th in line on the bottom there.
Yeah, why would you want to be up top? Why wouldn't you want to be up top? Because if someone causes an accident, NASCAR is one of those weird places where all accidents roll uphill, at least for a minute, and then they come back downhill. But they go uphill first, and what comes up must go down. So, you don't want to be stuck up there because all the crashing heads to you first, up the momentum in that centripetal force. So the bottom's safe because if there's an accident, you turn left and miss it. And that's where I like to be, just clicking away laps like Connor Horn is doing right now.
Yeah, one place you don't want to be at the moment is Blaze McKinney, who was just in the middle 3 wide, trying to find a place to sort himself out. Some decent runs this season so far. Not the best tonight at the moment compared to his earlier starts. He's running 21st, which is starting 31st, but still in the middle 3 wide, and there's nowhere for him to go. Finally gets a place in the outside lane.
McKinney in a hornet's nest right now, going a little bit further towards the bag. He's dropped outside the top 20. Running in the 24th spot at the moment, but yeah, there's a couple of cars broken away on that outside lane where the Ada Slate could jump down if he wanted to, but decides to keep his momentum as the 42 of Horn now is looking to take the lead back from the 56 of Matheson.
Ooh, a little bobble out of turn 2 by the 14 of Okreznik. That kind of stacked up everybody from Scioli on back just outside of the top 10. There's Greg Mitchell on the bottom, Scioli in the middle. The one of Seth Knoll runs high. This is getting pretty racy back here, and it's not very organized. When you don't get organization, you get big runs and drivers that don't want to waste them. Look at the 06 of Spencer Burns. Where does he go? Jake Nichols, where does he go? Jeremy Miller is back here as well. Coming up on 100 laps to go next time by.
Yeah, and it's really just everyone just trying to find where the momentum is going, and that's where they want to be ideally, because you don't want to be the one losing out. So it's when you get everyone scattering, running all over the place, trying to find a position. Because you finally Skyly gets towards the bottom lane, we go back to double foul racing in the middle of the field. But meanwhile, up in front, Jake Matheson's taking the lead of this race. Ray Slade up on top, Connor Horn still struggling on that bottom. He's got the 9 of Matthew Bell pushing him.
Finally got things sorted out as they continue to duke it out for a lead in 1 and 2. We'll head back down to pit road for an update from Eric Weiland.
Radio between Edward Scherer Jr. and Douglas Newbegin, Lucky Duck Motorsport teammates there that you just saw have the huge moment.
Yeah,
That was almost bad.
I don't know how I saved that.
oh, and I didn't get clear.
Oh god.
They all just stopped in front of me, and they literally just, yeah, it was just
I
bad.
was coming in like 20 miles per hour fast, so I got on the brakes and everything. I was like, oh god.
So a little dicey there, guys, for the Lucky Duck Motorsports crew. They have settled back in on the top. Seth Knoll, though, he's looking a little racy around Jordan Martin right there.
I was going to say, he got real close to the wall in 1 and 2. Here's another look at it, following the 38 of Jordan Martin. Woo, that was tight. Almost got into the outside fence, and once you hit that, when you're 2-3 wide, it's hard to get away from it without running into somebody else. Connor Horn trying to wrestle the lead away. He's already led one lap, trying to get some more out of it.
Yeah, he's got a really good push in behind from the 9, Matthew Bell. You also got Ryan Hart sitting there in 6th place, 5th place at the moment on that inside lane. So some decent cars on that inside lane trying to keep the momentum going. They do need a little bit more help, though. You can see not many cars in behind them.
Indeed, as I mentioned last week, they were IRLC teammates in the Cup Series. As Beckner going to go close to the wall, trying to make it 3 wide, going to end up losing a position or two. They're actually Solid Rock Performance teammates, along with the 8 of Slate and the 14 of Okrezik, as Slate continues to run in second, and Bell and Hartz try to close back in, as they're 3 wide now with Travis Beckner on the outside. That move did not go well for the 28.
Oh, Seth Knoll bounced off the wall just slightly out of turn 2 as well. David Weishart's in the middle of all that. 3x3, 2 rows deep from 10th on back. Yusuf Ghali on the bottom. Garrett Grant right behind in a very similar colored machine, black and red. Chevrolet is Ghali. The Toyota in behind is Garrett Grant. Dead even at the stripe. Matheson over Horn by just a couple of thousandths of a second. And the pack is tightening back up here. This makes me nervous.
Yeah, that middle lane is really starting to go. You see David Weishart there leading the charge in the middle group. Then there's Jordan Martin and Jeremy Miller also all there. All 3 of those cars moving up pretty far. But yeah, it is starting to get a lot tighter up near the front of the field as that middle lane makes more progress.
And not to mention those that are trying the outside lane really kind of forced up there. The 1 of Knoll, the 28 of Beckner. It gets tight when you're in the middle of 1 and 2. That's why you see cars go up, as Beckner had to check up there a little bit. See how tight they get when they have to arc it through the middle of 1 and 2, and especially on corner exit. You don't want to hit the wall, because then that's going to spell disaster for those in the middle.
This is 3 wide at Daytona is sketchy enough. Do it at Atlanta, it's even way sketchier. This would be easy doing at Talladega. We're not at Talladega. I don't know if anybody checked that, but this is just wild stuff. Lap 47 of 140, and the potential, if anyone makes a mistake at the front of the field right now, even midfield, Finian, the outcome of that is disastrous for a lot of cars. So drivers are racing pretty hard, but there's got to be a little bit of caution involved with this as well.
Yeah, especially now they need more caution as approaching the lap car. Vincent Cortez about to go a lap down, which is a bit surprising. I was trying to check what happened to him, what even put him in this situation, but it looked like he slowed down for some reason coming off of turn 2, but here he is getting passed by the leaders.
Oh, this is a bad spot to be caught in. Actually, a good spot on the front stretch. At the turn, though, it's going to spell disaster for those still trying to race 3 wide. As it looks like the first half of the field have gone their way through. And the 32 of Cortez about sums up his season the moment that he had earlier in the race. 32nd in points. Not a strong showing to start the season for the Cup Series.
Yeah, disappointing start to the night as well. Had flashes of pace, but then got caught up in that netcode incident. And he's going to end up in the wall there again on entry. That wall comes back at you really hard and really fast. We saw that catch out Weishart earlier in the night as well, but he will drop towards the tail of that lead group. Jake Matheson, Rafe Slate lead the way on the top. Connor Horn's fallen back to 3rd, but leads the bottom groove. Jordan Martin swings up ahead of the 14 of Okrezik in the outside lane. The 06 is almost in the fence.
Yeah, almost in the fence and almost running out of caution, but they're going to continue going on. That 17 now still stuck in the middle, and we have Eric Wineland stuck on pit lane. Eric, what do you got for us?
I can freely move around, Finian. I'm not stuck, but
Bolted to
I
the
am stuck
ground.
listening to the driver's radios. 06 Spencer Burns talking here. What happened there just a couple laps ago?
Yeah, I'm gonna go middle. If I don't get wrecked. I was gonna say somebody hit the wall. There's a lap car. That's why the 3 dissolved.
So those guys saw Vincent Cortez coming back to him, were able to quickly get that 3 wide back down to 2 wide. Brad Slaughter Jr. makes it 3 wide again. Seth Knoll makes 3 wide up here at the front. Go, guys.
Oh, look out. The 81 got loose.
Fence.
That's going to be trouble. The 81's
There
going to
you go.
slide, and there's the crash. Weishart gets turned around,
Ooh.
and there is a whole bunch of them in it. Crash, caution, lap 51.
That might be our big one.
I was not going to say it, but I think we have to say it. So this one started with the 81 of Culberson on the bottom. I'm going to back this up and watch this in slow-mo. I think we're going to need to. So watch the 81. He's on the bottom of the racetrack here underneath Edward Scherer Jr. And does he clip the apron? I think he just gets loose. up into the 17. The 30 of Miller can't slow up. Tags the 81. The 30 goes back across the nose of Beckner. That's when it all starts.
Yeah, it looked like I'm writing on board on his replay. It looks like he got a bit of the apron and sent the car left, so he let off on the steering, and then unfortunately when he did that, drifted up and then caught everyone else, and everyone else caught it on the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's not Calamity Corner, but Calamity straightaway for the backstretch, as we've seen a handful of cars get turned and saw a number of drivers get involved in this wreck just a few moments ago, as it's spelling disaster for those in the middle of the pack and back.
Yeah, the 83 of Brad Slaughter almost had it missed. So did the 87, and then they came together after it, sending the 87 into the wall and some fairly significant damage to the
Jordan
83.
Martin, too. Jordan Martin almost tagged the 83 of Slaughter as he was coming to a stop.
Oh, one great onboard, I can tell you, would be the 28 of Travis Beckner.
Well, let's go to it. Well, I'm going to go back a little further. Here it is. Travis Beckner's on board.
And it was right in behind it. Cup 30. Round he goes. And just missed the rest of the carnage with a little bit of drifting.
Wow. Third caution of the night. That one for a much bigger accident. And I think we've had everyone on pit lane. Except for... Let's have a look.
No, you are correct.
Everybody,
Everyone has come down and stopped in front of me, Kyle. This is a security stop. So I was just talking with the solar flare guys because I was checking in. First of all, Dwayne Culberson did say he barely clipped the apron a little bit, which caused his loose condition. Now, as far as pit stops go, this is a security stop for these guys. Seth Knoll and Jake Nichols both share the same feeling in the car that they were just about hitting that point in the run, and we were about 30 laps on that set of tires right there. Keep that in mind, where it started to not handle the greatest. They couldn't keep it full throttle the entire way through the corner. They were having to lift about 90-80% on the throttle to be able to get the nose set for the corner and be able to drive through it. So this is a more security stop for 4 tires to make sure they can try to keep it wide open and handle a little bit better, see if they can gain a little more track position. But keep an eye out when we get 30 laps into the next run. If the handling starts to go away, they said dirty air is causing the wash tight. We saw that earlier with David Weishart getting tight behind Travis Beckner, and that triggered one of the earlier incidents. Seth Knoll also said he could feel some of the looseness start to build up a little bit, but not near as bad as the push in dirty air.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, I think handling issues will be a bigger problem towards the end of the run. And as I suggested, one mistake, it means a lot. It breaks a lot of evenings. Now, here's the good news, Finian, is that new damage model allows you to repair quite a bit and get back running how you were before. If you, as long as you can stay in the lead lap and get a few more yellows to let you fix everything, once you're fixed, you're in pretty good position.
Yeah, and actually, everyone is running on the lead lap except for Spencer Burns. He's still down on pit road getting repairs. He got knocked in the right front wheel. It got knocked off and was loose, so that suspension is going to have to be fixed. That's a lengthy repair. Body works easy, but not really the suspension or the tires. So, yeah, he's going to have to get that fixed, but it's going to be Justin Sogak leading the field back down.
Back to the restart zone here. Lap 55 of 140. And there's the acceleration again late in the zone. And back to racing at Atlanta in the Area Cup Series. Matheson looks to the right of Justin Anisogak. Didn't take it, though.
And everyone actually trying to go for the top lane at the moment, except for the 42. Connor Horn stuck on the bottom. Will continue there with Matthew Bell, Ryan Hart's the guys who were pushing him last time through to nearly to the lead, still on the bottom.
Driver 41st in points on the inside, leading the way, and on the outside, it's the driver 26th in points, leading the way. Both drivers vying for a good finish and a win as they're almost holding on to each other. Coming out of turn 4, Matheson, though, with the push to Sogak, giving him the lead.
Connor Horn went for a ride out of turn 4 off the bumper of Matthew Bell. Not been shy about pushing. Car in the wall out of 2. Skylar Shackelford. Keep rolling.
Remain green there after nearly having another caution, but Three so far tonight.
Three
and
wide.
Here we go. Speaking of three wide for the lead. Jake Matson trying to make something work on the top lane. And Sogak stuck in the sucker hole, and he'll get clear.
Car on the wall back there was Mason Kane tapping it, but we're still going green as Connor Horn's taking over as the race leader. Matthew Bell on the inside pushing through as the 3 of Hearts is also there. And now the 1 of Knoll just trying to get tucked back in on that outside lane. A little bit of a separation between the first 10 cars or so.
Yeah, aggression level is high. Greg Mitchell bounced off the wall out of 4. Everybody's running real hard right now. 13 of Cedric Hunter's up here as well. Connor Horn takes the lead, though, and he's got Matthew Bell paired up with him, and they put some distance back to Ryan Hartz in that number 3.
I was going to say, they got a solid run going. That being said, though, eventually they're going to have the field catch back up to them, and Matson leading an outside lane with a charge building up. He's got a race slate in behind, as well as Justin Sogak, so they're going to be coming hard here on the front straightaway.
Yeah, big run on the outside for Matheson. Going to get alongside the quarter panel of the 9 as they're 3 wide in the back with Anna Sogak in the middle. Shearer on the outside trying to lead the way with Cedric Hunter behind. And then all the way on the bottom there is Doug Newbigging in the 67. I haven't talked too much about him today as Connor Horn continues to block and lead the way, but the 3 wide action continues to build, Kyle.
Yeah, Connor's trying to manage that lane. I don't know how much you can, though. Matheson's got a really good car for that middle outside groove. Look at Scherer coming with a big head of steam. Matheson goes to block. That's too late. He's in the fence. Too late. That was almost disaster there, Finian.
Yeah, that 17 got a huge run out of turn 4, and he was continuously building up a run, but yeah, that 56, that was a late block, and not surprising, he almost got knocked loose because there's a huge amount of speed difference between the two as they make contact with, so it's throwing everyone out of loop at the moment. They're 3 wide back there in the middle of the field, still trying to sort themselves out as the leaders start to battle it out. Matthew Bell trying to work around the outside. He'll get clear. Connor Horn to the lead.
For a second, that was very tight.
They almost made it 4 wide on the quad oval there. And that outside wall in the quad oval, they actually pushed that out to kind of cushion the blow from how hard the angle was on that wall. So it's catching some drivers by surprise. We've seen that a couple of times tonight. Matheson was the most recent victim of it. However, still finds himself running in second. Matthew Bell's taking over as the race leader. Horn has fallen all the way back to 7th as the field flies by Eric Weiland for another update.
Hey, Hunter, catching things by surprise. It's happening a lot here. Justin Sogak is not happy with his fellow competitors and how he got treated right there. You'll hear Casey Lakatos get caught by surprise by something here, too. Listen in.
Can't handle being, that's fine. I'll do the same thing to them.
There's a lot of time. Oh, I forgot about the side draft. You're like, what spot are you? I'm like, my car just died. What happened?
So Casey Lakatos remembering how to super speedway race, guys. It gets very dicey up here at the front.
Oh, Rafe Slate out of control off the bumper of Connor Horn. Look at the focus on the 42 right now. This is wild up front, and you can see the tension rising here, guys. There's a long way to go. Look at the 3 bouncing around off the bumper.
Yeah, I was going to say it's getting very tight up near the front, especially after that last little incident there on the front straightaway. It's bunched everyone back up together 2 by 2. It's effectively looking like they're pacing around here in rows 2 as they accept traffic. It's back there, you can see in the background trying to go 3 wide with Greg Mitchell. But for the lead, here comes Cedric Hunter aggressively going to door the 3 to make a lane. Here it comes, a big charge on the outside. The 17, his teammate trying to join him.
Wow, he just forced the 3 of Hearts into the sucker hole. Not sure how that's going to play for the 3, but Jake Matheson going to have to block 3 lanes of traffic now as Cedric Hunter dives to the inside. He wants to race lead, and he's going to grab it. But for how much longer?
Big moves up front for Cedric Hunter. Throwing the cars around here in Atlanta. They are confident in their grip level right now. How long will that last, though? Cedric goes to the apron to block the 9 to Matthew Bell. 56 of Matheson goes up to block Scherer Jr. and Douglas Newbigging's up there in the 71 now in the white and blue car. This is just unregulated chaos at the front right now.
Really is chaos. I'm actually surprised Cedric Hunter, he left his teammate trying to take the lead, but now they're hooked up back together on the bottom, so we'll see what they can do. Seth Knowles also joined back up at the fray here near the front of that number 1 machine after missing out for quite a while, being stuck in the midfield. Curious to see what they do on that bottom, the 17 to 13, because that was a huge charge they had going forward, but now they're at the front. We'll see what they can do with it. They're going to be aggressive blocking now.
On board with the bumper of the 56 of Matheson continuing to lead the way as, the 1-0 just shoving the 56 into turn 3, trying to keep that momentum rolling on the outside. But Cedric Hunter and Ed Sheeran Jr., big moves from Lucky Duck Motorsports as they roll across the front stretch and back in front of our own Eric Weiler with another update.
Hey, we got more juicy content here on the driver radio, guys. Most of what I just heard from Miller Racing and Solid Rock Performance and their alliance, I cannot play for you back. It was going to be way too much work for me to bleep it. But, you know, I found the one driver having a good time out here, and that's the driver of the 32 listening.
I'm just chilling back here, bro. This is crazy to watch. I hope y'all have fun.
If I get a hole to get to the top, I'm going to take it.
And the last half of that was Rafe Slate looking for a hole, and I think he just got suckered in the middle. No, that was Travis Beckner in the 28.
Thanks, Eric. Looks like Connor Okrasik is out, by the way. Just pulled off track. Got a couple laps to go. Everybody scatters.
Ryan Hartz.
Whew. We got Garrett Grant. No, that's the Slaughter, rather, on the apron on the back straightaway. Yeah, this is too wild. We're not even halfway yet. We're getting there, but not quite.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're just shy of it. Ooh, Travis Beckner, an aggressive bump to the back of David Weishart. See some more drivers fanning out in the background. Yeah, it is really getting spicy up here, and it looks like these guys are racing like it's 20 laps to go. We're still 50 laps from that point. It's still somewhat sorted themselves out for now, but you expect it's going to pick up soon, especially that 13. That's 13 Cedric Hunter. He's looking very, very aggressive this race. And I guess that plays into what we were talking about before. You know, if you have a chance, if you're quick here, it's a very good shot for yourself to guarantee that playoff spot.
Shows how valuable track position is, as once they complete this lap, we'll be officially halfway through. If you have a run and there's a room to make a move on the inside or outside, you take it. And that's what we're seeing in the first half of this race, with guys getting so aggressive with their moves as the leaders are working their way around lap traffic. Oh my goodness, Matheson, what a save!
Oh, there we go. Wrecking
behind. It's the big one in Atlanta.
Oh, that's the big one. Everybody's in that one. Big, big mess out of turn 4. Wow. Well, we have a lot to unpack with that one.
Oh, yeah.
All starting, and the cautions aren't that long here, so we got to get going quick. Jake
I
Matheson.
think I heard the safety vehicles in the background. I heard a siren, so they're already heading to the scene of the crash.
So here is Jake Matheson. Watch this save. Swings in front of the 5, gets tagged by Knoll. Big multi-lane change, and as Knoll checks up to watch it all happen, that's when everyone gets out of shape behind him. Right there is the contact. And then Knoll jams on the binders. Newbeginn's got nowhere to go. And then that's what stacks up the field in the background. And the 8 goes off the 33. Yusuf Ghali's in it. And basically,
Garrett Grant, too. Garrett Grant in the 5 was a lap car that they were working their way around, and he was doing a fine job of staying out of the way, but unfortunately, wrong place at the wrong time for the 5.
Jake Nichols, and he had a full view of this. He just stopped in turn 4.
I mean, that's a smart thing to do, right? Because the entire track got blocked at one point, so he just woed it down, didn't want to get involved, and we'll have his car continue to race for another day.
Trying to just pick a car that was in the middle of everything. They're jumping around since they're pitting.
I can tell you one driver that I'm sure is glad he didn't get involved, but got extremely close to getting involved, was the 42 Connor Horn. He was just ahead of this. You can see him escaping danger right there.
Ryan Hart's right in the middle of it.
I think he clipped Michael Curran, and then he went back into it.
Man, big hits there. So let's ride on board with the rear bumper cam on Connor Horn as he dodged all this. Let's go back a little bit farther. Watch off the nose and then off the gearbox. Oh, Curhan just got absolutely obliterated there. I think Beckner made it through mostly unscathed as well. Big crashes, Eric Wineland.
Yeah, craziness right there. And most everybody down for damage repair, but take the tires when you can get them. Listen into the radio, though, of Solar Flare Racing.
That was caused all the way at the lead with me and Jake. Jake decided to go to the top, and then it stalled everybody when I tried to get behind him. I wasn't able to get behind him, and I had to super check to get clear.
You might be able to sneak making fuel from here, maybe.
I'm not.
Did you catch that last part, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Might. The key word is might. These guys, you keep an eye on the back tail end of the pack to see who tries to do this, but we're going to get a green flag here with 68 to go, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Which means they're right on the edge of the fuel window. They may be able to save enough to make it here, Kyle.
So, am I correct in that Matheson, Slate, and Senesek did not pit? This shows them 20 laps on their stint.
Correct. Actually, 3.
Yeah.
Slate, Matheson,
and
Senesek all have not stopped.
All right, so
they cannot make it to the end.
All right, that's what I was curious about. So, Connor Horn leading the field of those who did come to pit lane. And we're past halfway, maybe into fuel economy territory, especially if we get more yellows. That's the easy button for saving fuel, is just shutting the motor off.
Yep.
How's the daylight doing, guys? We're getting pretty late in the day also. No lights here.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I was amazed to realize that this track still hasn't gotten night lighting. I could have sworn that it did at some point.
I think iRacing's working on a total ground-up remodel of their lighting system, so they haven't bothered to put lighting on a lot of the newer ovals because it's going to be dynamic now.
The date in sim is May 15th, so we will have a late sunset. We should still be okay.
Lap 74, Jake Matheson in control of the field, back underway from Atlanta. Look at a Kyle Busch start back there. Was it Cameron Hearn sailing through everybody?
I think so. See him moving up a couple spots.
Shades of the 2012 shootout. Matheson right back on defense out of turn 2.
Yeah, trying to continue to fight up here, and doesn't have a whole lot of teammates to work with him up near the front. Everyone's basically an enemy, and just trying to hold on. Connor Horn trying to move on the bottom. Shearer Jr. in behind him in the 17, then Noel on the bottom as well.
Not to mention, we still have a good bit of cars in the field, but look at where Vincent Cortez is in the 32. Mentioned that he had an incident in turn 3 and 4 and was all the way in the back at one point. He's all the way back inside the top 10. Look, as low as 39th and is all the way up inside the top 10, still duking it out with the likes of Senesek and D'Elia.
He thought about taking it 3 wide there, thought better of it. Had a moment where he could have gone to the middle, but backed out of that scenario, I think, for the better. And everybody's scattered. Look at Ray Slate, Seth Knoll trying the middle. Jake Matheson has been controlling this field aggressively. He's led 38 laps, Finian, but he is just throwing that 56 car around, and it's working, but I also fear that he's going to get turned off the nose of somebody sometime soon.
I was going to say, he's definitely playing with fire, so definitely have to watch out for the 56, see what he does. Seth Noygan arguably is also playing with fire because he's been making some very aggressive moves on this restart. He threw that car to the outside lane. He's been trying to aggressively move past Ray Slate, who's having none of it, trying to keep that one car at bay.
I was about to say, I wonder if Eric's in the chat room with the 8 of Slate and those for Solid Rock Performance, because I would imagine the 8 would not be too pleased with what the 1 is doing, considering he caused the most recent caution with that aggressive move to the inside. But nonetheless, still side by side for the lead. Connor Horn with Shearer Jr. on the bottom. Matheson still controlling on the outside.
Yeah, Connor had Matthew Bell behind him for most of this race. Matthew Bell's back in 21st now, so he's got an unfamiliar driver on the tailpipes here. You really need to trust the guy behind you just so that you can focus out the windshield and not in the rearview mirror. That's a different dynamic. Look at Brad Slaughter Jr. in the middle of 3 wide there. Douglas Newbeginn's on the apron, checking up big time.
Ooh, Travis Beckner caught the wall coming off of the corner. Last time by, he's still riding up against there. You see him just trying to make some progress. He's got the 3 of Ryan Hartz as well, also trying to make some progress in behind. There's a big gap between 16th and 17th.
I believe that's Scioli and the 06 of Spencer Burns that are in the 2 cars on their own in the middle of this pack racing. So we got one pack up here, then another pack in the back, and then those 2 are trying to regain ground with the first pack as Matheson continues to lead, but looks like they're going to make their way back just fine.
So if we get another yellow now and you pit, you're easy to the end on fuel from here. Look at the 56 and the 8. They keep taking swipes at each other. Keeps making me nervous. Look at Connor Horn and the run he got into turn 1. And then behind him, Travis Beckner all the way up against that outside wall, trying to make room alongside the 32 of Vincent Cortez.
Yeah, these guys are really fighting hard, even though we've still got quite a bit of racing left to go. Especially Beckner, who has now got himself up there. We see Connor Horn, a big bump from the 17 and behind. And that's really what's been helping Connor Horn out is these guys giving some hard pushes on that bottom lane because you have to, because you don't get the natural run off the corner like the top lane does, which is what's been helping them dominate all race long. 4 wide for a second there with 28. Ooh, hard on the wall goes Reinhardt's.
Second pack going to get away just fine as Hart stays out of harm's way. And speaking of staying out of harm's way, we'll go back to Eric Weiland, where it's quiet in the pit lane for now.
It is, Hunter, but it was not quiet for Ben Pierce. You guys saw that the pack broke up in 2. Well, Ben Pierce had a little moment over on lap 78 in turns 1. Just listen into the radio afterward.
Good save.
That was fun.
Yeah, that had to be scary.
Yeah, it was pretty much just try and, I don't know what I did, honestly. I have to go back and watch.
As long as you didn't collect half the field, that's good.
No one else hit
One
me.
piece.
So Ben Pierce and the Powerhouse Racing guys, lucky to get away with that one. Now with the incident there with Ryan Hartz, they're starting to close back up to the main pack.
3 wide for the lead. 56 in the middle. Matheson. Oh, wow. Big slide into one. He and the one of Seth Knoll have been bouncing off each other like ping pong balls, and then the 42 will take that run to the lead.
I was going to say, there's been around 180 mile an hour battle of ping pong for the last couple laps is what it's felt like. I've been seeing the one bounce off the 56 bounce off the 42. Now the 42's in lead. Here comes Seth Knoll with a huge run on the inside.
Ping pong is the best way to describe this because these guys are bouncing all over the place, and we almost saw something similar that last time going into turn 1, but in reverse order for the 56 of Matheson and the 1 of Knoll, as D'Elia also had a moment in turn 3 and 4. Nonetheless, Connor Horn was the leader, drops to the inside, and now Ed Shearer Jr. leading with Cedric Hunter.
No, there they go. 13 in the wall.
Cedric Hunter.
Brad Slaughter's in it. Beckner's in it. And the
Jake Nichols
73.
part of the wall.
Huge impact for Jake Nichols. Head on into the outside wall.
That
is
they're
a
still
big,
wrecking.
big hit.
4.
Vincent Cortez was the one that hit the Nichols machine, and oh my goodness, they could not have gone any worse for Miller Racing.
And for Solar Flare, a couple cars caught up in that. Wow, that 73 took a big lick. Let's go back. This is the 13 and the 56. Got to go back a little bit further than this. Cedric just crowds them. And then the 73, just absolutely enormous impact. That is a huge hit. Thought he had it missed down on the bottom here. Watch the sparks. There's the 28 and the 83 packing into each other. And then the 83 comes down the track. Just going to tag the 73, turns him up into the outside wall. This is the worst angle you can get a wall at an oval.
Oof. And then got another really solid hit to the front end by the 32 Vincent Cortez. So double whammy right there for the 73 of Jake Nichols, riding on board with him into turn 3.
And that's engine done.
Oh, wow. I didn't even hear that.
Well, not too often we see the 73 Jake Nichols DNF, but just saw a glimpse of that here in Atlanta.
Oh, there's Nathan Jump at the
this
end
is
of
that
that.
second incident in turn 4.
So I was just checking in with these guys in Discord. Jump goes shooting down to the grass here. Spencer Burns does not know Jump's down there. And that's what happened, as you see there on the replay, that tags Jump's teammate, Dom DeLeo, and the Physicus Motorsports guys. Just unfortunate trying to avoid the incident, but almost none too happy on the radio, both during the incident and afterward, with what happened until he got an explanation of what actually did transpire. And once he did, he was a little more understanding, but obviously upset for a lot of the guys in the Physicus Motorsports game.
Wow, look at Cameron Hearn carving his way
This
through
explains
this.
the laughter I heard from Cameron Hearn the entire time.
Bobbing and weaving.
Do we have a safe driver? We don't have Allstate as a sponsor.
They can give me money any day of the week.
Allstate safe move or Allstate safe driver of the race or whatever it was.
You in good hands?
Cameron Hearn is.
Well, already coming back to the restart. Spent the entire time under yellow looking at that. Just for reference of all those that stayed out versus those that pit, those with a 0 or a 1 just came to pit lane. Everyone else is still on the same set of tires that they were on previously.
All damage repair, by the way.
Yep.
Every driver that came down, really no security there for tires. These guys, for the exception of Rafe's slate, everyone's on 15-lap tires. Rafe is on 34-lap tires. So Rafe does still need to pit here before the end of the race to get fuel to make it to the end. But everyone else, it's going with track position, whatever they can get. And I don't know, my pick, I lost him on the leaderboard here.
Mine's out, so RIP. I was going to pick Connor Horn, and then Finian stole him. So
Hey, I mean, you choose to go last, so
that is a fair point. I'm gonna stop that next week.
We need Michael Curhan to bring us the standings so we can just pick in reverse order.
We should have a commentator playoffs too.
oh, we should do that.
Each week, someone gets knocked out.
Building the graphic, I'm all for this.
We got a guaranteed spot in the championship 4.
Here we go, lap 88. Edward Scherer Jr. is our leader. Back underway again at Atlanta. Pretty spread out restart.
Give it some time. It'll take only a couple laps, and they're already fighting hard up in the front. Connor Horn was 7 to make it 3 wide to the outside of Rafe Slade. He decided better of it as both of them jumped to the top. Jeremy Miller, open lane for him on the bottom.
It's not just the guys that are deep in points looking for a win. It's the 30 of Jeremy Miller looking for a win as well. He's 4th in points right now, looking to lead just the lap. Not going to be able to do that. The 8 of Slate, though, to the outside, going to take over as the leader, heading into turn 1 with Horn behind.
I think Matheson was a big reason why we had a lot of the chaos earlier. He was very aggressive with his blocking and lane choice. With that removed, I wonder, as Matheson is off course, I wonder how much that'll tame the front or if someone else will take his place. We saw Rafe Slate being pretty aggressive on offense earlier, and Scherer Jr. wasn't holding back either.
No, he wasn't. We'll see when they're probably going to start to hold back even less now again as we're getting to the later going here. 50 laps to go. So guys are going to they've been giving each other.
Turn 2. The 11 of Justin Bondurant's around, and in the fence, there's the yellow. Weishart's in it. That Garrett Grant back there. No, it's Yusuf Ghali in the 54.
Wow, that was a long wreck.
Senesac involved as well. So even behind the leaders, they're still jockeying for position. Every spot matters, even in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, Justin Bondurant had to lift, and when he did, there was just nowhere for anybody to go behind him. Right there, big checkup. That was a huge checkup. And Cameron Hearn again doing his best to miss it.
So was Beckner in the 28th there, all the way on the apron.
Whew. How many wrecks has David Weishart been in tonight as a victim?
Quite a few, I would say.
All right, so if I'm Rafe Slate, why wouldn't I pit now?
Well, he decided not to.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't come down the last caution because I figured that would be perfect time to come down. I guess he figured. I guess what his mindset is thinking. You know, there's gonna be cautions till the end of this race, right? So if he just stays out, he'll be able to save the gas that he needs because he wasn't too terribly far, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess he's just trying to go for it, see if it works.
Race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. Lap 92 of 140. It has been a dramatic race so far. We've had 6 yellows and 17 different lead changes in this race. It's been wild up front, and it's probably just in its infancy of getting super chaotic here, Finian, towards the end.
Oh yeah, we still got a little under 50 laps left to go, so it's still a great chance for this to kick up into high gear if it hasn't already. I mean, we've already seen quite a few drivers down on pit lane, a lot of guys with damaged cars, and still got a lot of guys out there with clean cars, so Curious to see how this plays out, especially with quite a few big names out of this race. Jake Nichols, Jake Matheson, drivers that have dominated the season so far. Ryan Hart's another big player. So we're left with a lot more guys that are typically not near the front, and that I feel that it's going to be leading to drivers making more and more risks up near the front.
Yeah, Rafe Slade, Ed Shearer Jr., guys that are deep in points. Blaze McKinney as well, although he's up inside the top 10 in points, still guys are vying for that win to secure their spot in the playoffs and to give them a stress-free rest of the regular season for the Cup Series.
Well, lights are off on the pace car again. And we have a handful of drivers coming back out of the pits. Just updating you, there is nobody that is one lap down. The first car that is any laps down is Vincent Cortez, 7 laps down. Jake Matheson's also 7 down out of the race. Garrett Grant is 8 laps down on the racetrack. Spencer Burns 14 laps down on the racetrack. The drivers that are out, at least as of now, Cortez, Matheson, Jake Nichols, Ryan Hartz, Connor Okresic, and Ricky Springer of the 40 starters in this race, Finian. Coming to the restart here, Rafe Slate, Connor Horn. Both those drivers were looking like pretty good picks. Edward Scherer Jr. has been up front all day, and Seth Knoll has been lurking in the background as well.
Yeah, he's been kind of coming and going in that number 1, but when he does get near the front, he is pretty aggressive and pretty cutthroat. So he's been able to sneak his way up to the front when the opportunity has presented itself.
Eric Weinland?
Yeah.
I was just coming to check in on the little race reset right there. So I'm revisiting my pick. Talked to him just a moment ago. Brad Slaughter said he's missed some pretty gnarly wrecks. He's up 20th again. With all his damage fixed, see if the Georgia boy can get it done.
Will be a crowd favorite, as it was for Ricky Springer when he won here a couple seasons ago. Parlayed that to a championship run all the way at the end of the season. We're a long ways from that, but we are a short ways away from the checkered flag here tonight. Just over 45 to go. Green flag back in the air. Rafe Slate brings us to the green. Look at the 1-0 to the outside. 3 wide for the lead out of 2.
I was saying he sneaks his way up near the front, and he's going to do that immediately coming out of turn 2, gets around Rafe Slate. Now just has to deal with Connor Horn and Scherer Jr. on the bottom, trying to break off their charge. Look at Jordan Martin on the outside too in his Toyota Camry, trying to rip it around the outside of the 8, trying to move his way to the front.
The Ada Slate had an opportunity to come down low and block the 42 of Horn. Instead, he hesitated and regrets that decision because he's fallen all the way down to 7th. Meanwhile, the 42 of Horn's taking over as the race leader, and you saw what happened there. When you have no momentum and no friends, everyone just goes right on by, and we saw that with Ada Slate, and 42 of Horn took advantage of that, as did the one of Seth Knoll as they lead the inside and outside lane.
Sink in like he's wearing concrete boots. Out of turn 4, across the stripe, 45 laps to go. Horn leads, Knoll on the outside. Blaze McKinney. Look at James Scioli. Remember, he started this race all the way back in 30th. Didn't pit on that opening stop to gain some track position. He's dodged and weaved and avoided most of the carnage tonight. Now runs inside the top 10. And it's crunch time. This is where you want to be in position. And I think as we're looking towards the tail end of this race, Eric picked a driver that wasn't leading on the last lap. I'm looking at the guys 4th through 10th, which are the possible winners when we get to that white flag lap. That's where the chaos happens, as those front 2 or 4 usually end up colliding, and then someone else sneaks a win away.
And speaking of those front 2, whoa, the 87 getting to the back of the one, big bobble for him off of turn 2. He's going to save it.
Oh my gosh, who is that?
Big run on the outside, and then a big check up there, as you're saying, Hunter.
Yeah, I don't know who that was, but we almost had another wreck on the backstretch because they tried to come up in the middle and get close on that outside lane, but almost created an accident. Couldn't tell what car that was, but we avoided disaster, Kyle, as the 77 of Jacob Bell has been blinking in and out, and I'm not sure if the admins are going to get on him about that.
Yeah, a couple cars scattering just beyond the top 10, but Seth Knoll leads that middle to high side. Finney and Connor Horn has been a bottom feeder this entire race. Is there a point when he jumps to that middle and outside groove? He's clicked off the laps that he needs to click off. When does Connor get on fierce offense versus just defense on the bottom?
I mean, it really, I guess, depends on how he's feeling towards the end, and how many, the way it's moving, especially the drivers that are up there. But I feel like we're probably going to not see him really move too aggressively until maybe 15-10 to go, because he's got the track position. He has that pad down and speaking track position. The one's now going to start to fall back as he gets sucker rolled through the middle. Blaze McKinney is trying to fight for the lead on that outside lane. I actually also wanted to talk about this 87. You talk about James Kelly moving up through the order. Blaze McKinney started 31st. He's up 29 spots now.
Yeah, tie 3 wide racing here with one of that Seth Knoll, and he's now gotten himself on the bottom lane, sorted himself out to 7th as 42 Horn continues to lead, and now the 17 of Shearer is sole position to 2nd, and even behind these guys, 3 wide with Mason Kane in the middle of that, not a good spot to be in. So is the 4 of Cameron Hearn.
Gosh, there's more pings than a...
Go on.
I don't know where I was going with that. I was watching the 29 blink, and the 31 has had some internet problems, and I think I was going more pings than an airsoft cannon or something. I don't know. It's busy back here. That's what I was meant to say, and I was worried about the internet connections.
One driver that looked like he's fired out of a cannon is Cedric Hunter. I saw him working the outside lane aggressively, trying to work his way back up the order after an EOL from causing that big wreck that we saw a couple cautions ago. Ooh, a driver goes down low. You got Seth Knoll on the apron off of turn 4.
Now that should be out of bounds.
He got knocked down there by the 30 who got loose, it seems, off of turn 4.
Well, are they done scrapping that one out? It doesn't seem like it. 3-car breakaway up front. Horn, Scherer Jr., Scioli. And this is 3x3x3. Wow, this is a mess.
Really is a mess. It's allowed the leaders to break away a little bit from this main pack. I'm sure they're glad to break away because I don't want to be in the middle of this.
No, this is
a wreck waiting to happen.
Brewing for sure. Eric Wineland, what you got?
Hey, so Seth Knoll cleared of any penalty because it was avoiding a wreck. Actually, Jeremy Miller got turned off the nose of Rafe Slate down into Seth, and that sent him down there. Seth also didn't really gain any track position out of it, so they cleared him, no issue. Good save by Seth Knoll in the 1 car.
Thanks, Eric. The 8 and the 30, I think, have had run-ins before, if I recall correctly, back to last season. There was no way. There it is. 28's going to get turned. If they save this, I will have no idea how. Travis Beckner has just been wheeling that 28 tonight. That was a crash that didn't happen, guys. Watch this. You don't get away with this every day.
Yeah, it was running the top lane. Looks like he came down. Jordan Martin was there. Contact there. Wow. Somehow held it off, and everyone gave each other just enough room to make it through the rest of the corner. So we remain green. But I got to say, the leaders, the top 3, broken away from the rest of the field.
Oh, car in the wall up there.
Oh, spin crash. Big crash out of 2. Big crash. Car's hard in the wall. I didn't even see who they were. I think Greg Mitchell was one of the ones that received.
He was in the middle of that. Looks like Rafe Slate got turned around. That's what kicked this whole thing off.
Oh, man. It was Rafe Slate. That was a big hit. Let's see what happened, how he got in there. Was it, oh boy, is it off the bumper or the 30? Yep. Indeed it was. Oh, Nathan jumps in it. A lot of Fords taken out in that one. David Weishart again. Not been his day.
Well, we always joke about it. You know, sometimes you're the bat, sometimes you're the ball, sometimes you're the ball. That's been swung around all over the place, and that's been David Weishart tonight. Not able to catch a break.
The rest of the field did catch a break, though, considering how far spread out these guys were. Had they been packed up, could have taken out a handful more.
Oh, man. Big hits. And we're just over 30 laps to go. Eric Wineland, big dramas between the 8 and the 30, and they did not stop.
No, there's kind of a pseudo payback, if you will. I mean, it is a misaligned push. It just didn't work out for either driver in either instance for them, but they were able to save it the first time. They were not the second time. Rafe did acknowledge that Jeremy did apologize over the radio. Unfortunately, I can't play that for you. Too many people in that Miller Racing Solid Rock Performance Alliance channel talking over each other to hear what was going on clearly, but Rafe acknowledged that it was not the stupidest thing he's seen all night, and He's actually, his quote was, it was one of the least stupid things he's seen all night. So Rafe obviously not happy, but understanding of what happened there.
If the least stupid thing that has happened to you all night gets you turned into the outside wall, not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing for Rafe Slate, but either way, glad that there's an understanding there.
That overcorrect looked painful, though.
It did. I mean, that's one of those situations, and we talk about this a lot, specifically at super speedway tracks, and there are other places that we talk about this, knowing how to crash. And I think in that instance, Rafe is probably better off just locking it down and sliding to the inside instead of trying to save it, where you correct it and go straight up into the outside wall. But sometimes, the line between saving it and going straight and overcorrecting at Mach 3 into the outside wall, they're pretty tight.
Yeah, especially because I was looking at it too. Again, he was bouncing on and off of the apron, so that wasn't helping him do any favor. I mean, yeah, and also that point, you just got to fight your natural instincts. I mean, for drivers, for the most part, they're pretty good at learning how to crash, but in the heat of the moment, it's very hard to try to make those correct adjustments to prevent yourself from going the wall, especially at over 150 miles an hour.
I mean, take Beckner's big slide a couple laps ago as an example. Looks like a hero doing that. You overcorrect 2 more feet to the right, and all of a sudden you look silly. So it's just such a fine line. We're going to get a restart with just over 30 to go here, Eric. This is going to get more interesting before it doesn't, I have a feeling.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was also going to add that out of all of us up here in the broadcast booth, I probably have turned the most laps in the Cup Series car, to which I will tell you, remember that these cars have rack and pinion steering, different than the Xfinity and Truck Series cars as well. A little easier to accidentally have those overcorrections like Rafe Slate did.
Yep.
He is unfortunately disconnected from the race, so his night is over in that 8 car. I don't know, guys. Kyle, this has been a wild one. It's only going to get more wild. I'm keeping an eye on my pick, and I know Mason Kane was still hanging out up toward the front here as well. I've lost sight of him as well, Hunter, but Finian, this is going to get a little crazy.
Oh yeah, it's really going to start getting crazy, and that's really not saying much because I would say it's already been crazy the last 50 or so laps. And if it's going to get any more crazy, oh boy.
Well, batten down the hatches, pull them belts tight one more time because you're going to need them tight. 32 laps to go on the restart, and Seth Knoll is in command, immediately jumps up to cover off Tyler Nichols, and we're back underway, Hunter.
Indeed, back in the lead is the one of Seth Knowles. Got that Tyler Nichols machine to the outside. Still looking to make his mark in area, get that first Cup win. But for now, cars still getting up to speed as they roll down the backstretch.
Travis Beckner is up in the top 5 as well, Finney. We haven't really talked a ton about Travis tonight. His teammate Matheson was up front most of the evening. Remember that Miller Racing is undefeated so far in the Cup Series side, so even with Matheson out, they've got more horses in the race. Look at Connor Horn with a big head of steam on the outside. He's coming with a vengeance.
Yeah, I was going to say, he came to pit lane and was one of the first drivers to pit, so he's out there leading that fresh tires.
There they go in the back, and Robertson, Justina Sogak, we're sideways in the middle of the turn. They're still not done crashing. Slaughter in the wall. That's going to bring out the caution
there
again.
There it is.
That was another one of those long wrecks. Man, the 32 also involved again.
My goodness, it took them a while to get that finally crashed. I mean, they were sideways, like you mentioned, Kyle, forever.
Middle of the road, there's Robertson. I think he's going to come down the track, or Anna Sogak just goes up and tags him. And they kept it pretty straight here until here. The 83 is going to get turned. He ends up in the fence.
Oh, David Weishart again. I don't know if he got any bit of that, but he was right in the middle of that again.
He didn't have bad luck. He'd have no luck at all.
They're going to start running out of replacement parts on that car, you think, at some point, right?
You would think. 13 to Cedric Hunter's in there as well. So that gets us down under the 30 laps to go mark. And Seth Knoll leads. Connor Horn, you mentioned that he had just come to pit lane. He's not waiting around, and that car is spotless right now. Putting himself in a pretty strong spot, though.
I feel like you just cursed him.
Well, it was bound to happen anyway.
He's been very lucky so far tonight, too. He's avoided a couple incidents narrowly by a couple inches in some cases, so yeah, it's been going right for that 42. I'm sure he's going to try to see if he can get the win, but, I think if anything, he just needs to make sure he gets a solid finish inside the top 10, get some solid points to really start getting his season going.
Yeah, Matthew Bell, Tyler Nichols as well, and mentioned Mason Kane. All drivers that are outside the top 20 in points, and that's big because if you get a win and you're inside the top 20, that means you're locked in, but you have to stay inside the top 20, as Mason Kane of Huckett Films on the side of 31, a hometown native from Georgia, as he's looking to put on a show and secure his first Area Cup Series win.
Looking down the order, we have lost some cars tonight, I think it's safe to say. There's a handful that I think are returning to the racetrack, Justin Sogak, Jeremy Miller, but from Ed Robertson on down, 29th, we about 10 or 11 cars out. Jake Matheson is back on track, but he is 14 laps down at this stage and won't be doing. Well, he still has an opportunity to pass 5 or 4 or 5 more cars. Yeah,
you can pass quite a few guys, and especially if we do continue to wreck and wreck hard. Eric, we got you back in the booth with us. What do you got?
This is an incredibly trimmed down radio segment, guys, from Justin Anasogak, who may or may not have been getting a little unhinged in the channel.
Idiots. Everybody. 18th. Let's push like we're last lap.
That's incredibly trimmed down and censored. I just want to point that out. And that's nothing against Justin. He has every right to be upset because it looked like, from my perspective, that the 54 just had no clue what was going on in front of him and nailed Justin when right on the entry to turn 1, which was not probably the wisest spot to hit a car, especially when they're stuck 3 wide. So, unfortunately, race control did not see it the same way, and Justin got upset over that. They called it a racing incident. Anaso got very upset with the 54.
32 of Vincent Cortez locked up the brakes and hit the wall, just catching the field. Full speed around. So let's restart again as we're under 30 laps to go, closing in on 25. If we go green from here to the end, it's about 15 minutes worth of racing.
We're going to be here longer than 15 minutes.
I have that feeling as well. You know, the thing that saves these broadcasts from being about 5 hours long is that green-white checkered rule, only one attempt.
Why, you telling me you don't want the ARCA style?
I mean, I like the ARCA style if it happens naturally that you don't go more than 3. Once you get past 3, it's like, all right, guys. You don't deserve to finish this race under green. Green flag. The 1 fires off and away.
Oh, no. Problems. Mason Kane.
Oh, boy.
We're on the restart. This is going to wad up everybody behind him. How do you pick a wrong gear in a sequential?
I don't know.
If he was still in 5th, potentially?
Wow, that was a mess.
We'll get a SimRap market replay to ride on board, I'm sure.
I think we're going to need to.
We're going to do some investigative reporting.
I'm just hearing over the radio.
Down to first.
So Mason Kane was saying that he went to go shift, and then he ended up shifting down, and then Carter Cooper, the race admin, was giving the overview of the incident, and he stopped mid-sentence. He's like, wait, did you shift down?
Yeah, how does that happen? Because either you're shifting with a paddle or you're a sequential gear shifter. It's not like you can make a shift from, 1st to 4th and make that mistake. That's a big mistake. The gearboxes are a lot simpler. I mean, simpler to operate than the H pattern was, as far as drivers used to miss gears all the time. But in the sequential box, that hasn't really been much of an issue ever.
Not sure if he uses a paddle shifter. He might have messed up on the paddle shift, but I still don't know how that happens.
That's one button and it goes one way. That's the thing I'm curious about. You'd have to pull the other paddle, or if you have like my McLaren rim, you can push forward on the paddle and it'll downshift versus pulling it. Both paddles are linked together in kind of a rocker sort of scenario. So I guess I could see that. Or if you've got a sequential, you could bump it the wrong direction, but
he might have some kind of weird shifter setup going on. I'm not sure. I see Eric Wineland down in that channel, so I think he's probably trying to get the details for us. So we'll see in a little bit. But pit road's a little busy at the moment. I guess a couple guys coming in for what I imagine is going to be their final stop of the evening.
I think so as well. Eric, you got an update for us on the number 31?
Yeah, so can't play the radio too. Again, that's the Miller Racing Solid Rock Performance crossover, and they talk over each other a lot. But I did get the report from Mason Kane. So these guys, contrary to what we see here on the broadcast in the cars, these guys are taking these restarts in first gear. So Mason was intentionally in first gear right there, and he said right as he went to upshift, it's like he went to second and back to first, and he's not unsure if it was the bump he received from behind that kind of stuck him there, and he didn't get the rev match totally correct or what. Connor Okresic in the 14 also said he had a similar incident earlier in the race, but Mason, he's on paddles. I double checked that as well. No sequential shifter that he's using. Paddles only on the wheel. He said when he clicked the upshift button, it went up and back down really quick. So it's almost like it never actually got into the gear.
Well, it could be a debounce issue as well. Basically, buttons have basically a timer on them as soon as you click them. That if you don't have the button depressed, or if you have the button depressed too long, it doesn't want to double register. But if that is too short, then the button will not engage fully enough to send the signal. So I guess I could see that being a scenario as well. I definitely think getting shoved along would have an effect on the car going into gear. I don't think it would go back out of gear, though. That's the thing that's interesting to me.
Yeah, that's what interested me as well. But
unless he was mid, the only thing I can think of is in the simulated gearbox, is if he was mid-shift and the car behind gave him a shove. If the gearbox tried to put it in gear and all of a sudden the gears jolted, that I suppose that could happen. I've never heard of that happening before. But
I'm surprised it was that advanced.
I'm more inclined to believe the bump screwed up his rev match, because for those that are not so
but why would it go back down would be the question.
See, I'm not sure on that one. That one I'm not
going up.
I don't know. He would have to look at his telemetry replay after he gets out of the car to see what happened fully. He may just that's word of mouth, so he doesn't know for certain without actually seeing the replay. But for those less experienced with the stock cars, you can rev match. There is no need to use the clutch in these cars. So Mason most likely was going to pull out of the throttle to let the RPMs fall to meet what second gear would need for RPM, and then get into it and go. So the rev match probably got a little screwed up on the bump, and that's where I personally think has had the problem for it, because I have experienced that issue multiple times before, guys.
That's very interesting. Never seen that. First time for everything. Lap 117 of 140. Seth Knoll still leads this race. He will be the restarter on the inside lane in the restart zone. And we're back underway again at Atlanta. Just over 20 laps to go.
And back away we go. Seth Knoll leading them off into turn one. Tyler Nichols leading that outside lane. Curious to see what he can do with Travis Beckner in behind. Knoll going immediately up to block. It's going to leave the lane open down for Matthew Belch trying to work that inside lane.
Connor Horn going to try and split the 28 in the middle. Nonetheless, it's going to be a resurfacing for the Connor Horn on that outside lane. But now Travis Beckner's got the memo. Looking to the outside of Tyler Nichols. And here comes the 28 trying to make a charge for the win.
Out of turn 4, the 28 with a big run off the bumper of the 42. Travis Beckner goes to the bottom of the racetrack. He has not led a lap yet this race. Could this be the first?
He's got a good chance at it. It's just a matter of Seth Knoll tries to make a move on him on the back straightaway. Connor Horn's going to make a move. Going to look to the inside and lead that lane. Try to fight with Travis Beckner. He's got no help in behind, though.
Roll off turn 4. Beckner's got the one of Knoll to the outside, and it's going to give him the lead. And now the one looks to the outside to take the lead back. Contact made, headed into turn 1. Beckner 3 wide in the middle. Here comes Horn back on the bottom.
He wants up, but he's not going to get there off the bumper of the 4. Cameron Hurd denied him. You can't have that parking space. That one's mine. And the 28 sucker hold now as Connor Horn takes the lead into turn 3.
And Seth Knoll still trying to catch back up. He's lost a lot of momentum. Here comes the inside lane with a huge charge, which is really the opposite of what we've seen all night long, as they're just kind of discombobulated at the moment. They're disconnected again between the 4 and the 33. And how about David Weisert, speaking of which, you talked about him being involved in million wrecks tonight. He's up just outside the top 10.
How?
Something bad's about to happen in the middle of that pack. Cars are blinking in and out all over the place. Jacob Bell again continues to blink. Oh my gosh, this is a calamity going into turn 3. Yeah, the 77's still blinking in and out. Not sure if Diamonds are going to make that aware to the 77 of Bell or not, but it's getting bad out there.
And there's another car on the bottom there that was also having issues as well. So that it's getting wild back there. Up front, it's single file, first through fourth. Horn and Bell paired back up again. Then Dwayne Culberson, Edward Scherer Jr. Then it's Jordan Martin, Nathan Jump, Seth Knoll, James Scioli, and Newbegin and Hearn. Well, Hearn's in that second group, but there's another 4-car quartet back here.
Here comes, look at the 17 Scherer Jr. to the outside. Here comes the 29 Nathan Jump back in the mix with the 7 of James Scioli as well back in the mix. So a bunch of cars now coming to the front here in the later going, trying to make that outside lane work with a top 7, top 8 breakaway.
Connor Horn has not won a Cup Series race since Dover of last year, and he's looking to make that change today by picking up the second area Cup Series win as 18 laps to go. Going to make that 17 when it come across the stripe. So far, nothing to the outside, just the 9 of Bell pushing behind with 81 of Dwayne Culberson as Scherer trying to get that outside lane rolling into turn 1.
Might be the hardest win of all because you don't have the ability just to drive away on strategy and performance. You're going to get drafted up too. You're going to get slammed, side drafted. This is going to be a lot of work. He will be sweating by the end of this thing. Matthew Bell has been behind him all night long, save for about a 50-lap run that just basically ended. And they're back paired together. They're a strong pairing. And if they can stay nose to tail, if they desire to stay nose to tail, that'll be a hard combo to beat.
Ooh, 3 wide in behind them. Nathan Jump was trying to make a move to the outside of the 17 and Scherer Jr. didn't quite work. It caused a bit of a checkup. Seth Knoll trying to work his way through the middle. He's stuck in the middle 3 wide with literally nowhere to go. Car to the left, car to the right, car to the front.
Yeah, very tight with the 1 of Knoll in the middle as he's fading towards the outside of the top 10. Travis Beckner is going to pick him up as the pack slowly starts to form back into 1. But nonetheless, still the 42 of Horn leading the way as the second pack starting to bring some momentum. Give him the 15 to go.
I think Connor Horn was very satisfied not having the pack all together. It makes things a lot more chaotic to have this many more cars. That second group is getting organized as well.
For the lead, Matthew Bell for a second looked like he was going to the outside. Scherer Jr. going to look to the outside though. Bell stuck on the bottom with Scioli also working to that top lane.
It's time to make the move, and the 9 of Bell decided to make that move on the bottom. Scherer Jr. on the outside. Going to be interesting for the 42 of Horn. He's going to duck back down low. Going to give that top. Oh, my goodness. Probably gave the top too much room, Kyle.
If I'm Connor Horn, I like this upper groove now. I've spent my entire night bottom feeding, clicking laps away in the safe zone. Now's the time to get aggressive. Jump to that outside lane. Protect that upper groove. That's where the momentum is going to be. You have to stay up top there. I think if you drop to the bottom, you're going to get sucked back into this pack and you're going to lose this race.
Looks like he's trying to control that top, but I'm just questioning when is someone going to get that run, go to the bottom. All he needs is a handful of cars to make that move. The big thing, though, is that we don't really have a whole bunch of teammate pairs. Pretty much everyone's on their own. They're not really in a group, and especially if you're in the middle of this pack, you really can't do a whole lot.
Look at what Connor did, though, Finney. He dragged everybody up to the outside lane in the front 5 or 6.
Finney, and you're overlooking one thing, and I'm going to use a DW patented term right here. Connor Horn is a setting duck. Because the 2 directly behind him, ironically, and pun intended, are Lucky Duck Motorsports cars. James Scioli, Edward Scherer Jr. are working together, and it's just biding their time before they pull to the bottom and make the move.
Yeah, Hunter, I think Connor needs help, but I don't want to go to the bottom. I don't think that's the place you can win this race. You got to be on the high side. You got to be defensive. You got to do what Jake Matheson did for half this race. Manage that group, even if it means throwing your neck out there a little bit. You might get stabbed, but it's your best shot.
Well, the best thing he can do is hope for a caution to kind of even things out, as the closest teammate he's got is Skylar Shackelford, and he is just on the cusp of falling outside that top 10. But yeah, that's basically Connor's best bet, as there's no denying it that the 17 and the 7 are going to make their move to the inside. It's just a matter of when.
Travis Beckner's lingering back there in 6th. David Weishart has been through trials and tribulations of all shapes and sizes tonight. Been to hell and back, all 9 levels. And up to P5 with 10 laps to go now.
Yeah, I can tell you here comes the chance where those 2, the 17 and the 7, can jump on down with Nathan Jump leading that bottom lane. They've been slowly working their way up the order, especially you'll see right here in the turns. You're going to make a huge head full of his team, so this is a perfect opportunity for the 7 and the 17 to jump down.
64's in the wall there, Hunter.
Yeah, that was Ed Robertson scraping the wall, but Nathan Jump won the Truck Series race in Las Vegas not too long ago. So he knows how to win on a 1.5 miles. Can he do it on the Cup level as he's trying to bring that inside line closer to the leader, Connor Horn? He's got a mirror full of Ed Scherer Jr. coming across the stripe. Less than 10 to go.
9 laps to go now. A little bit of lap traffic. I think that's Vincent Cortez that they're about to go by. And the way that the body language of these following cars is leading is exactly what Eric Wineland said. They're just sitting and waiting here. They could make this 2 and 3 wide, but that wouldn't help them. They're going to wait until 1 to go, maybe 2 to go, and then they're going to make their move with the team cars together. Connor's just got to get super defensive on that last lap and just don't pick the wrong lane. Someone will come, as soon as that second pack pulls out, Finian, it's going to suck all the momentum away from both cars. So someone's going to be coming up the outside, someone will come up the inside. Just know that you have to get your mirror very packed full and very busy as soon as the cars from behind you duck out of line.
Contact between the 81 and the 29 on the bottom lane, almost getting turned around the 29, so they lost some momentum. So that inside lane, they started to get there, but they started to hit a really big wall around the third, fourth car on the outside lane. So they've fallen off quite a bit now. So it's still single file outside lane, but again, it's just a matter of when someone's gonna make a move. All it takes is a couple of cars. I think I just saw one of them. Cameron Hearn's gonna jump out of line, jump to the bottom.
Yeah, Hearn surprised me there. I thought the first driver to make their move would have been that 28 of Travis Beckner. I mean, we've seen him a number of times tonight not be afraid to push the envelope a little bit, and hasn't done it just yet. Also, looking in front of him, the 33 David Weistart. How many cautions has he been near or involved in?
Yes.
He's running 5th right now with 7 to go. 33 cars in a pretty good spot to possibly pick up the top 10.
Like Dante's Inferno, all the different levels of hell, and then back out the other side somehow. Or sucks some momentum out of that upper groove. It just leaves 3 drivers, Horn, Sherrod Jr., Scioli. A little bit of a gap back to Seth Knoll now. It's going to help the 4 and the 13. And look at all the Fords lined up on the bottom.
Yeah, I was going to say a mix of Fazekas Motorsports and Lucky Duck Motorsports on the bottom. And actually surprised there that the 7 and the 17 are not deciding to jump out, because Cameron's got a pretty solid run going, but they're still committed to staying in that top lane. This could hurt them.
And the commentator's curse strikes again as Weishart falls outside the top 10. Might be a good spot, though, because they're about to get real racy up in the front. Less than 5 to go when they come across the stripe. It'll be 4 to go. Cameron Hearn leading the way on the bottom. Georgia native trying to pick up that first hometown win.
Yeah, best case scenario for Connor Horn is that there's a yellow to bring this race to a green-white checkered. It'll kill all the momentum, kill all the plans that are strategizing right now. You need to stunt and blunt those, and the only way that's going to happen is with a yellow. Otherwise, it's going to get very busy. Eric Wineland said in the pre-race, whoever's leading on the last lap is not going to win this race. Connor's going to try to upset the apple cart with that. 3 laps to go next time by the stripe.
Coming down to the thick of it here. It's all starting to heat up. Everyone's kind of bunched back up near the front. Cameron Hearn's really close to the front. Cedric Hunter, we've seen him be aggressive on that bottom lane. And you can see the 17 being aggressive to the back of the 42.
Yeah, Scioli and Ed Shearer Jr., this is not how they wanted it to go. I mean, they do have another car on the inside in Cedric Hunter, but they don't have a room to make a move to the inside unless they get a big push. So this is actually working out for Connor Horn in that case, but you still have to worry about the 4 of Hearn on the bottom and the run that the bottom line has been getting.
Yeah, the 17 and the 7, ideally, would like to shove the 42 clear, then dispatch him on their own. We're 3 miles away from knowing who wins this race. 2 laps to go this time through.
It's almost some chaos in behind, 3 wide for just a second, or I almost thought it was. Seth Knoll, I'm sure he's trying to find some sort of way around, maybe through the middle. He could try to make a move, but it could be risky at this point. But we're coming down to the thick of it here as the end of turn 3, coming to the white flag.
White flag will be in the air one more time around Atlanta. Can they make it to the line, though, as they're side-by-side for positions behind the leader? Horn leads it at the white. Will he lead it at the checkered?
Here we go. 1.5 miles left. Connor Horn's going to have to get very wide already, searching for grip. Look at the 28 middle 3 wide. He's coming with a big push from Blaze McKinney. Horn, they're going to crash behind him. This just leaves the 17 and the 42.
Two-car race. Sherrod Jr. trying to catch up from behind, see what he can do with the 42. Connor Horn really is a sitting duck at the moment.
Last corner, turns 3 and 4. Connor Horn trying to outlast 41st in the points tonight. If he can make his way to the top 20, he's going to get it. Win at Atlanta. Connor Horn's going to the playoffs.
And you can see the excitement there from Connor Horn. Finally got it off of his back, getting a win and some solid points to his name. And there's all the stress of the last 100 laps going out there on camera.
Those who read lips read exactly what the 42 of Horn said, Kyle, as quite the moment here for him. Pick up his first win since season 4 at Dover.
Yeah, that is a big weight off his shoulders. And you can physically see the relief. But that last lap, I mean, that crash was absolutely critical to him winning that race because Scherer did not have enough momentum to do the pass on his own. He needed his teammate Scioli with him. But as they got collected in the background, there was just not enough momentum to do anything with Connor Horn. Eric Weiland, Connor, if he can make his way to the top 20 in points, he's well on his way to being in the playoffs with that win, that would lock him in.
That is probably, considering how Connor finished out the season last season, I would expect that win just got another driver into the playoffs. What a drive from the 42. And amazing that, as you pointed out, the moment James Scioli was gone as the rear gunner for Edward Scherer Jr., he had no momentum left trying to make a move, and it was over. And for the first time in the Area Cup Series history of the 3 trips we've made to this racetrack, Hunter, the driver that took the white flag won the race.
He changed that tonight. Very. Oh, look, that steering wheel.
That's the Kyle Larson move. That's an ode to his favorite driver. The no steering wheel burnout. I've never seen that in iRacing before. I thought the sim would freak out. That's cool. All right, guys, let's have a look at the last lap and kind of digest what happened there with the crash in the background in particular. So coming off of turn 2, the 4, the 28, and then the 13, I think, also got hooked up. Let's go back and look at this in slow motion because we're going to need to digest all of it. So watch the 13 and the 4. Oh, the 28 gets turned off of McKinney. That's what triggers that whole thing.
And then everyone just got taken out and behind the 1, the 7 of Scioli going around and coming down the track.
Oh, Scioli got drilled there as well. Yeah, so McKinney gets into the 28. That triggers the rest of the accident.
McKinney was the one blinking the last 5 laps, right?
Well, he was one of them. I think it was he and the 77 in particular were.
Yeah, it was mostly Bell that was blinking the most, I think.
Hey, how about the drive from Cedric Hunter, guys?
Yeah, totally.
By the way, he had a ton of damage on that 13 car, and he scoots out the other side of that wreck to a 3rd place finish.
Well done. We're going to talk to your winner and a few others here in a moment's time. But first, let's have a look at the results. Connor Horn, Edward Scherer Jr., Cedric Hunter. Look at all the blue ovals. 5 of the top 10 positions owned by Ford tonight, Finian. And with about 50 laps to go, it was almost all Chevrolets. How the mighty have fallen in the tail end of that one.
Yeah, I was going to say there's only about, I think, 6 to 8 Fords, if anything. So there's not many of them in the field, but a lot of them finished very well tonight. So they're happy for that camp. Mostly Lucky Duck and Physiquus Motorsports, those Ford Mustangs. But looking further down the order, Dwayne Culberson, Jordan Martin, then heading to the next page, Yusuf Ghali, Casey Licata sneaking their way through the wreck to get 11th and 12th for both of them. Hop, Bell, Beckner, and then really started getting to a lot of the casualties from that accident. Beckner, Curran, Miller, Nichols, Bonneret. Actually, Justin Bonneret finishing his way on through into 19th after he was around earlier, and Bryce Senezak, your top 20.
Yeah, crazy night for those behind the top 20, including the one with Seth Knoll. David Weishart as well was caught up in almost every single accident possible. Mason Kane with that moment on the restart with his shifter. Scioli was up there for a good bit, very quietly, but ultimately did not get the finish that he wanted. And Jacob Bell was blinking in and out tonight. And Vincent Cortez, up and down race, but it ends in a 30th place effort.
And some drivers that did not have very good nights tonight. The big ones, Jake Matheson, Brad Slaughter Jr., Rafe Slate, Jake Nichols, Reinhardt, Connor Oprezek, Ricky Springer, all poor nights this evening. This also, guys, this ends the streak of Miller Racing victories. First 3 races of the year went to them. 609 Motorsports, though, will pick up their first of the season. Let's talk to Cedric Hunter, driver the number 13, new number this season. Third in the number 13 Ford. Cedric, great drive there. Cedric, at the end. It just got pretty wild on that last restart, coming back to the checkers. Pack racing, it was busy tonight. You managed to sneak through as the chaos and carnage happened around you. It bounced off your door coming to the checkers, but you were able to sneak away a 3rd place. Take us through your night and surviving that last run of the checkers.
Yeah, obviously going into it, had VR problems and didn't get the chance to qualify or anything like that, so I had to start from the back of the field and then kind of used the first portion of the race just as learning, and learned pretty quick that you have to be super aggressive to actually move your way through the field, and so we started doing that. I do want to apologize to the drivers that were involved in the wreck that I caused about halfway through the race. So I know both Jakes were involved and probably a bunch of other people, so I apologize to all of them. Had 3-4 minutes worth of damage, got it all fixed. Typically I tend to to hate the new damage model, but tonight it really paid off. We got it all fixed, and got very fortunate there with the last couple runs, and got our way up to the front of the field. Had the wreck there on the white, and finally got ourselves a top 3 finish. It took a season and some change, but finally got an interview.
Yeah, so it's a good momentum in the right direction as far as the points are concerned as well. As we look to, this race is maybe a little bit of an outlier because it's that draft style racing. As we look ahead to some of the other tracks that we head to next week, we're at Dover. That's a unique challenge. Then the Roval, and then the Charlotte Oval. Are you in a position where you think you can carry some of this momentum into future weeks?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we have, Dover's a pretty good track for us, and so is both Charlotte's. I'm actually going to have to put down practice laps for once for the Roval. But I think if we're able to do that, we could probably come home with at least top 10, and hopefully take those steps to squeezing our way back into the playoff hunt. We had a few terrible weeks, including last week where we had VR problems again. So, we have a hole to climb out of, and the next few weeks should hopefully help that.
Cedric, thanks for talking to us. 3rd place in the number 13 Ford. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
I appreciate it. Just really quickly, I just want to give a shout out to Lucky Ducks, Roasted Gems Coffee. If you are interested in premium coffee, please go to their website, roastedgems.com, and use code Lucky Ducks for 15% off your purchase.
Thanks, Cedric. Congrats. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Edward Scherer Jr. comes home in 2nd place, and while you had a teammate lined up and you were in position to maybe steal one from Connor Horn there, by the time it was time to strike, everything unraveled behind you there on that last lap. Didn't have the momentum to take down Connor Horn. Take us through that last restart, the last run to the end, and sizing up to 42 just to come up a couple tenths short.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's great to finally be up here. It's been a long time coming, but it's nice to have this happen. But plan was to go with my teammates there in the end with Cedric and James, and unfortunately James got hooked there going into 2, and just didn't get enough out of Cedric. I think he had to check up a little bit on the apron to avoid all of it, so it was just me and Connor, and I just couldn't get enough draft to get to Connor and even try to make a move. Maybe there on the, if I had like another lap or so, maybe, I don't know. It was going to be rough either way with just us two, but congrats to Connor. He did a heck of a job with Kyle controlling the race. I had fun pushing him, like I was just telling him down there, and did everything I asked of him. I mean, it's hard to get decent people with that understand a little bit of like what the pusher needs sometimes. Like I needed air at the right times, and he was able to give me some room. But yeah, overall, it's disappointing, but after how the first couple of weeks went and the beginning of the season, I'll gladly take 2nd. I know we were close to a top 10 last week, but this definitely feels like a win. But just hoping to keep the confidence still going.
Well, it's a great night for you, and just came up just a little bit short. Led 10 laps in this race, Edward. Congratulations. We'll see you next week at Dover. Very different challenge at the 1 mile concrete banks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate everyone at Lucky Duck Motorsports and all of our sponsors at Simrat Market and Roasted Gems Coffee for sponsoring the car, and definitely looking forward to Dover, one of my better tracks. So hopefully get a little bit, one more spot better next week and see what we got.
Monster Mile up next. Thanks. Well, let's talk to Connor Horn. It's about time to bring him in here and chat with the race winner. Connor, it's been a long time coming. You end the drought tonight, and I wanted to pick you in the pre-race. Finian picked you, so he's going to get the most points on the board.
All right. Cool.
You led a bunch of laps, a lot of them in the last 30 or so. Tense moments, I think you knew the drivers behind you were teaming up a little bit, and then all of a sudden their plan fell apart when the field crashed behind. So take us through that last run. You were on the bottom all night managing, just clicking away laps, and we're up front when it counted most.
Yeah, Finian's my favorite co-commentator now, so thank you, Finian. But yeah, it was a crazy race. I mean, you had, Matheson was up there, Beckner was up there, Seth Noel was crazy aggressive like he always is, but I never really wanted to go block them. They were fighting to get to everyone's right rears in the middle lane. I was just fine with leading the bottom line and just being the first guy in the bottom line because I knew that top line was the dominant line, but I knew no one on the top like Matheson and Slate that one run. They weren't going to come down and clear me, so I was just fine with leading the bottom line with Matthew Bell and Shear pushing me on those few different parts of the race. I left the tire set in the pits just because it still seemed like track position was very important. Once the line stopped getting big runs as the as the race went on, it just seemed harder and harder to get track position, because going in the middle, if you don't have the push and a big run in the hole to clear up to the third lane, you're going to go right back where you came from. So that was really important as well. The final few restarted 12th. I had to, I think, force someone in the middle. That worked out for me, got the 8th. Then on that last restart, just was able to get to the front and get in front of Matthew Bell again. And when he went to the top, I had a feeling that I knew I was gonna have to run the top to the end of a race eventually if I was in that position. It was just a matter of when. And I didn't even know no one was behind Matthew when we both went up. I was like, all right, this is it, top to the end. And yeah, he got forced out. Then I knew it was Shear and Skyler behind me. I knew they were teammates. I knew I was probably just waiting until the very end for them to make a move. Luckily, just ran top, almost let the bottom get there, but it seemed like when Cameron's line got there, they kind of just stalled out and got a little too much side draft between one another. And then I knew I was going to have to do something crazy out of 2, and that never happened because they wrecked. I guess Blaze turned Beckner, and it somehow Skyoli, so it ruined Shearer's run. I was just able to run bottom at that point and get to the line. Crazy race. I don't win these races. I always run at the back and usually get wrecked somehow, but I think I started pole and won. That never has happened in the history of iRacing, so I'm pretty pumped about that. Well, I did not think I was going to win Atlanta. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a great one for you, and you'd mentioned that it's been a really tough start to the season, 41st in points, best finish at 29th. This sends the direction in the right way, but still a lot of work to do. 30th in points, you need to get to 20th for that win to get you into the playoffs. How rejuvenating is this for your efforts to get back in the playoffs and take another run at a championship?
It's just all about confidence. My confidence has been shot the past 3 weeks. Really bad runs, and seems like every other week, the last 3 weeks have, I think twice, I got wrecked twice at Vegas. I was, kind of caught up in a wreck at Daytona with my teammates, so that was bad. Then I wrecked in a dog-leg at Phoenix on my own, so the confidence completely shot, not even finishing above 29th in 3 races. My only strong finish was the shootout, and I was on fuel mileage. So yeah, it's just getting the confidence built is so important in making a run to get back into the top 20 and get that points position up. I mean, you can't do anything from 41st. I mean, even with 9 weeks to go coming in tonight, that was 50 points to the cut, and that just doesn't it's hard to make that up because you got to be consistent over 9 weeks after 3 bad finishes. So this one was just important for me to run up front. I sat here getting ready for qualifying. I almost didn't run. I was like, I got to run up front. I could not run at the back and just be complaining about running at the back and not running up front. So I went to qualify, got the pole, and I feel like I was top 5 majority of the race. So like I said, not something I do at super speedways a lot, but definitely a step in the right direction as far as confidence. And got some good tracks coming up. I know Dover's coming up, won their last season. We'll try to defend home turf and just really get the ball rolling even more and get some, get multiple wins. Because I kind of laid back after my 1 win last season at Dover, and I didn't have playoff points to advance to the Final Four. So definitely need to change up my mentality like I did tonight, and I'm going to continue to change that mentality. Also, the area shirt helped. I think it was good luck. Area.shop, something like that.
Yes, you got it. Connor Horn wins at Atlanta. That's a big confidence boost heading into the track where you won last season. Connor, congrats. We'll see you next time.
Yep, I'll see you next time. I'll see you tomorrow. Actually.
Yeah, indeed, for the truck race. Thanks, Connor. Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, guys, obviously the excitement is palpable there with Connor Horn. Finian, tonight was a really fun race to watch. A lot of dramas indeed, but we are heading to the track that Connor won last time. Then we're heading in to the Charlotte Roval. That'll be another good race for him. So as far as undoing the sins of the first 3 races, going to a really good sequence for the 609 crew, Connor Horn specifically. Does this end the Miller dominance so far? I don't think so, but Connor Horn is going to be a threat this season. Just wait.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that we've seen a lot of brilliance from some of the other teams, like 609. They have got a pretty good stable with Jeremy Miller. Skylar Shackelford's been stepping up this season. Lucky Duck, a couple of their drivers have been poking their nose. Obviously, Solar Flare's been poking their nose, but no one's been able to stably be up there near the front like Miller Racing has so far this season. So that's really going to be, again, the consistency as a team like we talked about with Solar Flare earlier in this race and in this season. That's going to be the thing that Miller has been dominating in. We'll see again. It's still early in the season, only 4 races in, a lot can change.
Already 4 races in, a quarter of the regular season done with 8 races left to spare. And you mentioned, Finian, we saw the first time this season where someone's been able to dethrone Miller Racing. They won 3 straight Cup Series races heading into today, and Connor Horn was able to do that for 609 Motorsports. Get win number 1 on the season. And Kyle, we got more racing here in Atlanta for tomorrow night in the Truck Series and for the Pro Series on Thursday.
Sure do. Truck racing and racing on Thursday night. Eric, wanted to check back in with you, though, on finishing out tonight. Some things to tidy up here. Miller Racing still holds that points lead, but Connor Horn still got some work to do, only up to P30. Your final thoughts here on Atlanta?
So a couple notes there. 4 drivers have gained 11 positions in the standings from their finishes tonight, and all 4 tied for the most gained this week. Connor Horn, one of them, the winner. Nathan Jump, a great finish for him. Edward Scherer Jr. and Cedric Hunter, the Lucky Duck Motorsports crew, that finished 2nd and 3rd. Lucky Duck Motorsports cuts their deficit in the team championship in half from 85 points down under 40 now, or excuse me, under 43 now for the Lucky Duck Motorsports crew. But I don't know, guys. Miller Racing's got a really strong team this year. It's going to be tough to see someone dethrone them. I don't know that Lucky Duck Motorsports can do it. They have the momentum, though, so it'll be interesting to find out what they do in 2 weeks' time at Dover, Kyle.
Yeah, that's a good point to mention. We are off next week because of the holiday week. So we will be back tomorrow for the Truck Series. We will be back on Thursday for the Florida State Builders Pro Series. That's all what's coming up. But until the Monster Mile, 2 weeks from now, Dover, Delaware. We'll see you there for 150 laps. And right back on twitch.tv/area iRacing and youtube.com/SimTV Broadcasting tomorrow for the Truck Series race right here from Atlanta.